Welcome back to the Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting scenario. Imagine a gentleman getting pulled over at 2 a.m. in the morning in the Twin Cities, driving down 94 near Minneapolis. State patrol officers trying to make an arrest because there's a felony offense on his record in Ramsey County. He ends up getting shot. We know nothing more than that, basically, at this point. We got some sources that say other stuff, and we'll bring that to you here in the show. But BLM already jumping to the man was murdered. Now, what was he out? What's the offense that he had? What's that felony offense? Well, I think we've got that for you now. I mean, this is 1 o'clock on Tuesday, August 1st. This happened at 2 a.m., July 31st. So news is not trailing fast. We don't have the body cam footage yet.
2 a.m. on July 30th.
July 31st.
That would have been last night.
It was, no.
No, that would have been.
Oh, no, you're right.
William, you're having an off day already. Well, there's straight-laced William joining us today on the program. You had another thing going on today, and I'm just like, where's William? I need William. So
Here I am.
there he is, Mr. Straight-laced himself, one of our political junkies, the other political junkie, MAGA Jesse. How you doing there, MAGA Jesse?
Yep, doing good. I like that William's looking patriotic as well today.
Oh, thank you.
And I think we got a lot of stuff to expose today.
Reading your comments at home is the lovely young Bridget Williams. How you doing, Bridget?
Great, and I appreciate the young adjective thrown in there, because I don't feel that way.
Well, I'm 40, so
That's true.
yes, you are young. And we also have running the dials, Mr. Deep State himself, Dawson. How you doing, Dawson?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good.
You're busy. So Dawson
Yeah.
literally just got back in the studio. He was on site at the governor's mansion, and that's where. So what was this thing called that they were doing? They were just having it wasn't a vigil. Last night was a vigil for Ricky Cobb's, the gentleman's name. What was the thing called?
I think it was just a press conference by his family. I don't know if it had a name or a title.
Okay, it was scheduled for noon, so we thought we'd bring you footage. Turns out, did they even start when you left?
They had a few people talking. They had a BLM member, chair or whatever, talk for a second, and then another one from the Minneapolis chapter. And then they had the mom of two of his kids step up and talk for a little bit. She didn't say very much. She was pretty quiet.
Oh, so we do have some footage, at least.
Well, we can't bring it to you right now because he just literally got back.
Yeah.
Let me dump this article real quick. Actually, Dawson, we just go into actionforlabor.com. For you at home, make sure you like this on Rumble, or if you're watching on YouTube, like it. That helps everyone else know what the show content is and why they should come here. Also, if you want to join us in the comment section, I see the comment section is already pretty busy. We'll try to get to your comments. We got a lot to talk about today. If you want to for sure have your comment read, go ahead and click the Rumble rant. For $10 or more, we will definitely read your comment. I'll interrupt what we're saying. After we talk about this story, and I don't know how long this is going to take because this is going to be an interesting one, we've got to talk about something you probably haven't heard about in the Hunter Biden plea deal. Okay, this is interesting. The two prosecutors behind it happened to have put a black guy behind jail for the same crime. So where's Black Lives Matter on that one, right? Let's see here. We also are going to give you an update on Maddie Kingsbury's story. Adam Fravel, they unsealed documents. So some interesting stuff. New gun law takes effect today, and marijuana is now legal in Minnesota. Legal, kind of legal, quasi-legal, not fully legal. We'll explain that. What's the other thing I got? Dean Phillips. Dean Phillips might be running for governor.
President.
I have no idea if we're going to get to all this stuff.
President?
So let's go.
Yeah.
President.
What did I say?
Governor.
President, even bigger.
Wow.
Slow down, Jake. We got a lot to cover. All right, bring up the article at actionforlabor.com. This is, we published this last night as we learned BLM was calling this a murder already. There's apparently a couple chapters of BLM. One is BLM Minnesota, and the other one's Black Lives Matter Twin Cities. Both published a vigil, which happened at, I think it was 8 o'clock last night in Minneapolis. And if you see, scroll down, all the way down there for Ricky Cobb, they already assume last night State Patrol murdered Ricky Cobb. So that's the Black Lives Minnesota, Black Lives Twin Cities right below that. say he was murdered by the Minnesota State Patrol last night. Now, that's a strong word. Murder would obviously be a criminal code. As we know, 2 Minneapolis police have been convicted of murder, Derek Chauvin being the obvious one. What was the other guy's name? Mohammed Noor, is that correct? I want to say it's Mohammed Noor.
Yeah.
That one was crazy because that guy just shot a woman who called the police. I want to say there was like some theft or something that happened in her neighborhood, something bizarre.
This is like a tourist, right? Like an Australian
She was
woman?
Australian. She was
Yeah.
Australian. And she gets shot.
Jeez.
And the guy reached like across, like came up on the passenger side, I want to say. Or she was in the passenger side, shot across. It was crazy. So 2 Minneapolis cops convicted of murder within just the last, I want to say that's 5 years. I can't remember when that Mohammed Noor one happened.
What was really funny about this story is that we published this story on Twitter, and we had a couple, Liberty people in the comments saying, well, how is it you guys are just racist? Why are you taking this position? It's like, well, we don't know what's going on. I think
Wait
that's
a
the
second.
real
That
Liberty
didn't
position.
happen. What are you talking about?
Yeah. We got called racist in our
We
Twitter
got
feed.
called racist on Twitter?
Yeah. You didn't
By
see
who?
this?
Who called us racist?
Just a couple of anonymous accounts, but
Oh,
another
well, then
person...
why are we even addressing it on the show?
Because it happened. And it's worth
All
noting.
right,
But
let's see
another
here.
person also said, what's the Liberty position on troopers murdering a black man? And I think it was you who responded, well, we're just waiting and seeing what the facts are. I think that's the true Liberty position because everyone deserves their day in court and everyone deserves the presumption of innocence.
Yes, that's a
Right.
mature, obvious response. What, did you delete these comments? I don't even see these comments. I don't see
didn't-
anyone calling us
I
racist.
don't think you can delete comments.
Yeah,
on
I don't
Twitter.
see anything. Someone calling us racist. What are you talking about? This is
Definitely there.
fake news. Total fake news, William. Always
Not-
give us
not
fake
playing
news.
the victim here.
Sure.
We definitely did get called racist.
Yeah, I did see
on it.
this thing about liberty position too. Well, it doesn't matter. Like, we don't know. The point that we're trying to make is you don't know. So at this point, Liz Collin, let's go back to Liz Collin because we were reading her tweet. Liz is actually a good one to break info dealing with law enforcement. She wrote, and this is 2 hours ago, sources confirm 2 troopers were dragged by Ricky Cobb after a 94 traffic stop. Alpha News has been told the troopers tried to place him under arrest for a do not contact order, a felony. Cobb took off. One is reaching in driver's side window, other passenger side, when Cobb drags him toward freeway. Video expected to be released soon. That makes it sound like basically he was using the vehicle as a weapon, essentially, right? Dragging cops out there, probably fearing for their life. That's all we know. I'm not trying to make a statement like it's a legitimate shooting. But that's all we know. I don't even want to speculate anymore, okay? That's according to sources given to her. We don't have body camera footage yet. What did you learn being there at the governor's mansion, Dawson?
The main thing that I learned is that, I mean, the family is grieving, and no matter what, that's going to happen. There was Star Tribune there, Care 11, a bunch of people, mostly people with cameras. Honestly, the crowd was kind of small for what I would expect to be a little bit bigger. I think probably because it was, 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. It's kind of hard to get out for that kind of thing, but small crowd, mostly BLM activists, some media. And honestly, I didn't learn a whole lot because the family was currently going through the body cam footage and whatnot. They were doing something that meant that we couldn't get that information yet.
What did we, Jesse, you looked into Ricky Cobb. What did we learn in terms of charges, in his past criminal record?
Yeah, here's what I know about this guy. So I was doing some digging. I found out that he worked at Santa Max, Columbia as a maintenance mechanic. It looked like he had a pretty decent job there. Was also a maintenance mechanic before at another place. So April 2017, Cobb was convicted of a felony domestic assault. And March 2018, Cobb was charged with various drug crimes. Later on, felony possession of a firearm he wasn't allowed to have. He has alleged gang affiliations and was still causing problems. He was violating his probation. So he twice violated his conditional release by failing to maintain contact with the probation officer, submitting random drug tests, and remaining law-abiding. So I was looking into the court case where he was trying to appeal this decision in 2019. He appealed a district court decision on his conviction of being ineligible to possess a firearm. Cobb pled guilty on that, but went on to request a downward directional and I can't speak right now. A departure of the sentencing, basically. He wanted to lower the charges. And I can't figure out exactly who this domestic abuse was against because he has 5 children, and it looks like there might be a few baby mamas. Olivia Stroh, looks like she either has 1 or 2 kids with this guy, Ricky Cobb II, and there's a Danielle Williams who it seems like he used to be, in a relationship with for over 11 years. I imagine that she's probably the mother to most of his children, and at the time of his death, he was in a relationship with a Sierra Compton. So he's got a few different women. This guy was a player. But Ricky, and also I was looking at his Facebook just for informational purposes, just what is this Ricky talking about? So he would post things on Facebook saying that there's more deadbeat moms than deadbeat dads, and that he shared one post that said that the mother of his children had learning disabilities. And interestingly, he shared a post that made fun of people who cried when their exes died. And interestingly and ironically, one of his exes is, posting stuff about the vigil, posting things about him. So there's that one. And also, Dawson, you should pull up the one of his last 2 posts that he made on
I think that's just
Facebook.
He's laughing because it's a stupid post.
Maybe,
We'll go
I
back
don't
to that
know.
real quick.
Oh, sorry.
We have K-Wall for Life, $10 says cheers.
Thanks, K-Wall.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. If we together... Shit, I can't even
If we
read
together
this
and
way.
your ex die and you cry,
Well, hold on. If we together, what does that mean?
if we're
They're
together.
together.
Like,
Oh,
relationship.
So they're doing together twice by that emo?
What?
Yeah.
well, he's just adding a little flavor.
I think it's just
picture.
the emoji.
Just adding flavor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And your ex die, and you cry, you...
On my mother, you single.
Oh, I didn't know that's what that
Oh,
meant.
I didn't. Really?
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
OMM is on my mother?
I'm pretty sure. That's how I'd read it.
You single. That's how I interpreted that.
I don't know what we're learning from this.
Right. Well,
Jeez.
but anyway,
I'm sure he
Dawson
was
pulled
high
the
when he
one,
posted that.
the one of his last 2 Facebook posts there because it's kind of interesting as well.
So
What-
if he...
I replied to the email, Dawson. It's the picture I replied to the email with.
Liz reports he abused a do not contact order, which is felony. I would assume that there's probably a do not contact order with maybe one of his exes. That would be my
Mhm.
assumption here. Probably a safe assumption. So that's what apparently he was being brought in for. What's this?
Yep. So these are the final 2 posts that Ricky had made. One of them was just 4 days ago, and he said most gangsta shit you could do is turn your whole life around. So it's interesting. Maybe
So true.
he was in the process of turning his life around. I don't know this guy. And also, you scream out my failures but whisper my accomplishments. So that was the kind of stuff that he would post. It was semi-inspirational, semi-venting. That was kind of his style of Facebook. It's interesting, and I don't want to prejudge this guy. I don't know the situation. Obviously, we'll learn a lot once these body camera footage, the body cam and the vehicle footage. I'm excited to see it because I want to know the truth of what happened here. And you never know. And I don't want to prejudge this guy, but it looks like there were some previous problems with the law. Looks like he had some run-ins with cops before. It looks like he wasn't always respectful and dealing with cops correctly. So it'll be interesting to see all the
Well,
facts of this.
Yeah, the judgment-y part on me is if you're literally putting law enforcement officers' life in danger by trying to flee them, which seems to be a fact at this point in the case.
Yeah, I thought that was a given. Am I wrong about?
That's how it's been reported everywhere.
Okay.
Once again,
He
body
refused to
camera
get out of the car too.
Right, resisting arrest, and then so how do you get from resisting arrest to police officers have their guns out and they shoot you? You would imagine. So murder would be there's no reason for it and they shoot you. That's what BLM's jumping to conclusion. The reason we're on top of the story, guys. Do I need to say this? We all remember 2020, all right? And it wasn't just 2020 with George Floyd. Then we had the whole thing in Brooklyn Park, which was literally a awful mistake, an error made by, what was her name again? Kim Potter. So that led to more rioting nights. But George Floyd obviously being ingrained in our memories. And so this happens. And that's the narrative right away. We were having the pre-show discussion, and Dawson was talking about MPD, and I'm like, yeah, but this isn't even MPD. This is literally State Patrol, which patrols the highways. So this is happening in 94. At 2 a.m. in the morning, the guy didn't seem like he did not have taillights. He had, or lights on his tail, but he didn't even have taillights. Is that what?
That's what it said in quotes. No taillights.
No taillights.
So like they might have been busted out or something.
K-Wall is asking if there's body cam footage, but isn't
There's
that
body
supposed to be-
there's body cam footage. It hasn't been released yet. Now, that is, let's see, we're going on probably about 36 hours ish right now. Let's see. Yeah, it's almost 2:00 in the afternoon. So we're going on about 36 hours without any body cam footage being seen by the public. I mean, you had to leave early, Dawson. Was that addressed? What do we know? Because that's what the protest at the mansion was about, right?
Right. So basically, and I think that it was in a comment that I'm old enough to remember that when the left demanded body cam footage. Right now, everybody is demanding body cam footage. It's odd because they don't want it to be edited. They want it to just go through the family, go through investigation, then get out because they want to know what happened just as much as we do.
But weren't they already saying it was murder? Like, weren't speakers saying it was murder already?
Yep. So they're already saying that it's murder, but they
before
want the footage.
seeing the body cam footage.
And that's what scares us. Is this is the path right now? They're leading to end up, what we would assume is to prepare to riot and create civil unrest.
Yeah.
Those were crazy times living in Minnesota. Were you in Nebraska at the time?
No, I was here.
You were back.
It was
Oh yeah, COVID. Yeah, they would have canceled break.
That was weird. I remember I was in Coon Rapids and close enough to the cities, and I would get like texts on my phone being like, "Don't go out.
Right.
Like, get
they
home at
shut
this
down
time
all the
because there's no
major
cops
roads.
around."
Yeah.
Yeah, major roads on a
weird.
weekend, and
Yeah, it's crazy.
people were buying firearms all over the country. Finally, So we'll get to the firearm law changes today too. Yeah, that's what scares me is the jump to conclusions. Murder is obviously a serious charge, right? So we don't know. We just don't know at this point. We're going to keep an eye on this story. I got William looking at news. I'm sure Jesse's doing the same thing in case there's any updates. What other comments? Let's go to some comments here. Before
Odd One says, it's got to be hard to see your family member being shot or have that out there no matter who is at fault.
True.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
True.
you feel bad for the family, but I
Well, we're
always
not
thought,
automatically defending the cop here either.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely not.
We just
Yeah.
don't know.
Here's the thing about Derek Chauvin. I believe Derek Chauvin was guilty of something. Was it second-degree murder? Seems crazy. Derek Chauvin was convicted of second-degree murder, the same charge that they're charging Adam Fravel for killing Maddie Kingsbury. Doesn't seem to be the same thing to me, right? Seems like maybe manslaughter, right? But guilty of something. I'm not trying to defend bad cops. But basically the way I look at the Derek Chauvin thing was his knee was on the neck too long, right? That's the big key difference. So that's also the same thing with this Marine who was in the New York City subway, right? He held a chokehold on this guy, and he held it probably too long. Once again, I don't know the details, and I'm sure it'll come out in the defense, but there's one thing from holding a chokehold and the guy passes out and then you let go. Really no harm done there. You hold a chokehold too long, you literally stop blood to the head. That's a big problem.
Right, and we definitely need to call out bad cops. Bad cops need to be exposed. Bad cops need to be out of the field. And I agree with what you're saying on Derek Chauvin. And what was so unfortunate about what was going on during the Black Lives Matter stuff was because, the BLM people were so radical, the left was going so far with this stuff that it was turning some right-wing people into pro-Derek Chauvin, supporters, when really everybody agreed when that video came out. Everybody agreed that Derek Chauvin shouldn't have been doing that. He shouldn't have kept his knee on his neck for that long. You can do it temporarily while you're trying to restrain him. But, everybody who was watching the video and even the bystanders there were all saying, get off him, he can't breathe. He's going to die. Derek Chauvin took it too far.
I actually disagree with that. Candace Owens has a great documentary with Daily
Candace
Wire.
Owens.
Well, yeah, I mean, take it for what it is. It's a good documentary, and it kind of goes through a lot of the evidence. It goes through alternative perspectives on this, and a lot of people talked about that case. Derek Chauvin wasn't the best guy, I don't think, but he was taught to do that. He was taught to put his knee on the back.
Yeah, but not for 9 minutes.
Yeah, what's the time limit? Isn't there a time limit?
I guess I don't
Or
know.
like-
I don't remember that part, but
Clearly that's
I
too
think
long.
Yeah.
I think they definitely went after Derek Chauvin harder than they needed.
No doubt. You're not getting an argument here. We had Liz Collins on the show to talk about this, her book.
Right.
Is there a book somewhere in here? Somewhere around here.
Yeah, and
Very
obviously,
And he died of a heart attack
I was
too.
well. I was telling Jake. Obviously, the fentanyl had something to do with it too.
Right.
You know, it was a combination of things. But he wouldn't have died in that way if Derek Chauvin wasn't sitting there putting his knee on his neck for 9 minutes like that. There were better ways of dealing with it, and I'm just never going to come to the defense of Derek Chauvin for what he did. Everyone knows it's wrong, and he crossed that line.
Tucker says George Floyd was resisting the whole time. That's why they were on top of him for 9 minutes. He did nothing wrong.
Chauvin didn't?
Yeah. that's what
Oh,
he says.
really?
I disagree with that.
think
Yeah,
Chauvin
no, I
did
totally
it was a little
disagree
wrong.
too. Tucker, I think you're falling into the trap. I think you're falling into the
What's the
trap where
trap?
the trap is disagreeing with anything the left
Because
says.
politics is a team sport. That's what it is,
Right,
It's
and
tricky doing this show because
Like I said, everybody
we-
was against Derek Chauvin in the very first, that very first day, and then the more the left kept talking, the more
See,
the
that's
riots kept
problem.
happening.
That's the problem.
That's when Republicans
Everyone was
flipped.
against him the second the video came out. Nobody waited for more evidence, and people
The
still
video
today,
is the evidence.
No,
everybody
but you,
saw
you're
it.
not
well, the
getting
video's pretty
alternative-
damning, right?
Well, right, but you're only getting one viewpoint.
Listen, you don't have a disagreement with me.
And
Video
remember, the
evidence
autopsy
isn't
showed
everything.
he died of overdose.
Yeah,
Of a
I don't
heart
think
attack.
Derek Chauvin killed him,
Right.
but I do think that he was on there a little
Well, there's
long.
conflicting autopsies.
Well, he doesn't go
first of
to
all.
right, and that's
Yeah.
the problem here.
Yeah, I
is one
think
of the
his
problems.
sentence is
The
unfair.
first guy went into hiding because he was receiving death threats for his initial autopsy.
Yeah.
But I don't think he should be in jail for life, personally.
Yeah, I don't-
Well, he's
I don't
not in
think he
jail for
should.
life.
He
That-
may as well be in jail for life because
How
they're
long does he
double.
have?
He
It's like-
got
that
charged
was
by the
20
state,
years.
and then he's also being charged with federal.
You know, Derek
hate
Chauvin was going
crime.
to plea on second-degree murder or something like that, or what was it? For third-degree murder? He was going to plea on it.
Yeah, and he should have testified. If you want to hear his side of the story so bad, he should have testified. He had the opportunity in court, and he chose not to. So he could have maybe cleared the air a little bit. Derek Chauvin had nothing good to say about himself. What's that say about him?
Odd One says, I thought the Marine put him in the recovery position. He was fine. Another drug he dies when he would have anyway. And I shouldn't speak on this. I just remember when that story came out, clearly I was just using this as an example. Clearly it's too long to do a chokehold, right? When you apply a chokehold, what you're doing is you're not constricting the air flow. You're constricting the blood vessel going to the brain. So that's why you pass out. And honest to God, I could do a chokehold on any one of you guys, and you're going to be fine. You're going to wake up 3 seconds later, you're going to wonder what happened. But if I hold that for minutes, you're probably going to die, or at least going to have brain damage. So there's too long. That's my point I was trying to make on that one.
Did he end up going to jail? The Marine?
He's being prosecuted for it
He is
in New York
currently?
City, which isn't being prosecuted. They're not prosecuting half of the dang violent crimes in there. That's the other thing is like Floyd was a thug. He was a loser. Like what that guy represented. And then we memorialized him around here. That guy was a bad dude.
Yeah,
like
they
he
built
literally held a
statues
gun
him.
to a woman's stomach. She was pregnant. That's what he went to
Chauvin did?
prison for.
Wait, who did?
Yeah,
George Floyd. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were talking about Chauvin, so I got it mixed up.
Oh.
Odd
Yeah.
One says Chauvin had no chance at a fair trial, so testifying would not have helped him. Maggie Jesse.
That's what some people say, but I mean, I think a testimony would have helped him because if you're screwed regardless, you might as well say the truth. You might as well as put what your side of the story is out there, and maybe his lawyers were telling him not to. I think that's bad legal advice. But he had every opportunity to, and staying silent, of course, silence can't be used as an insinuation of guilt, but the jury definitely views it that way. People view silence as guilt.
I've got an opinion about a comment. Tucker said, "You ever try to restrain someone on crack? Damn near impossible."
Probably true.
If there's anybody that would be able to, I would hope that it would be a policeman.
Yeah, police
Right?
officers are trained for dealing with the worst among us. They're not dealing with the best people every day. They're trained to deal with the worst among us.
Amber Munson says, I agree with William. Candace Owens' documentary is worth seeing. It was good. I watched it. She gets a chance to talk to his family.
Yeah, it puts it
My
in
neighbor- put it in a different
My neighbor's
perspective.
agreeing with you. I can't believe that.
Why does she usually disagree?
No, I don't know. She likes all of us.
Okay.
I think she still likes me. I'm her neighbor. We do neighborly things. She also said that she should have watched the Barbie review. Remember I was telling you oh no, you weren't here at the meeting.
I still
got
got to respond to that phone.
Razzle
I got
Dazzle
him.
said no movie talk. He said
Yeah.
earlier in the comments, he was like, oh, good lineup of topics. No movie talk in there or something.
Razzle
like that.
Dazzle. I agree with you. I agree with you.
I do too, actually.
I just wanted people to know that I listen. I encourage staff to have ideas, and so we did the Barbie review.
I did
Amber
see.
says she likes you and everyone else. Jake. Yes, Jake.
I did see Razzle Dazzles wants to replace the co-host, which I was very offended by.
Oh, yeah, I saw that
kind of
up there.
agree. So Bridget was like afraid to talk on the show.
I don't
to
like
start
being
out
on the
with
show.
it.
Well, I'm
And
getting.
she's doing so well now, so I do think she's going to replace one of you guys.
Wait, is Razzle Dazzle saying he wants me and William replaced for doing Barbie stuff?
No,
Oh,
he's
maybe.
talking about Jesse, who's well, actually Jesse's doing well.
I
Low
think-
energy William today. That's what he's
Low
referring to.
energy William, what are you talking about? Do I need to start throwing punches in order to get your approval here?
He is so
Okay, well.
he's so
Stepping
sensitive.
on necks.
So I think
For
this is
9
an interesting
minutes plus,
question.
probably.
The training part, and this is what really bugs me. So my background's not in law enforcement; it's military, and it's shocking how little training the cops go through these days, especially in these situations. So first of all, and we were bringing this up in the show planning. All right, so there's like two sides of the sphere. If you want to talk about the team sport, right? Cops are always right, okay? Well, they're clearly not, right? And we got to be careful. Like, we're pro law enforcement. You got to be careful on that one too, right? Because in socialist governments, who's enforcing the bullshit laws, right? It's the police.
Right.
So that's one side of it. The other side of it is no cops.
ACAB, yeah.
You can't have that in Minneapolis. You can have it in Lake Alamo. That's fine. You can have it there. You can have it in rural Minnesota, right? Sheriffs just do that. But you can't have that in Minneapolis. Have you seen the crime going on?
Yeah.
So if you're going to have cops, right? And remember, there's like BLM and all these people that literally defund the cops. They have no solution. They want anarchy. And by the way, the thing that scares me about anarchy, it starts out chaotic anarchy, and then it goes to order. And what's that order? It's a totalitarian state. It's communism, socialism, whatever ism you want to use
Just
to
like
it.
Chaz
It's
in
anti-freedom. Exactly. Look
Seattle.
at Chaz.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they'll do. It's chaotic. It's anarchy until a new order comes in place. And by the way, whatever you want to call those people enforcing the order, you can call them whatever you want. But those are cops, right? It's just your brand of cops, right? So we have to have police officers. So really it comes down to you have to understand the job they're doing. Do you want to do the job? Any of you guys on set, would you be a cop right now?
I've thought about it before, but not right now.
Not
no.
a chance?
Not right now.
Anywhere in the metro for sure.
Definitely not in the metro. Bridge, I assume.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to be a cop,
I would
right?
never want to be a cop.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, my uncle is a cop. Is that my only family member that's a cop? I don't have a lot of members that are cops in my family, but anyhow, at least my uncle, right? Like, there's no way I would do that. So, but someone's got to do it, right? And so, what do we got to do with these people? We got to have good, proper training, and they don't train enough. They're always patrolling.
Yep.
So, and you know, obviously, it does come down to funding. Our priorities are completely wrong. We blew through a surplus. We were wasting all this money on more social programs, and we don't address this glaring issue. Cops are really on patrol all the time. They're not shooting their firearms. They're not learning well enough when not to shoot their firearms. These people don't need to be on patrol all the time. They need to be on patrol, what, a third of the time? I think in the military, it'd be like 1/3 on, 1/3 training, 1/3 rest or R&R, right? That's a typical, or I guess in the military, weapons maintenance and gear and all that kind of stuff, paperwork. So it's like that might be exactly the role they should be in, but it's just like, what, 90% on patrol? And so you get these
I
situations.
actually disagree with that, and maybe you're talking about Minneapolis cops specifically, but I have a buddy who's in the Wright County Sheriff's Department, and I would say probably half of his time is spent training, going to the range, shooting, working on all this stuff.
I mean,
So
that's
maybe-
awesome.
maybe
If
it
that's what's
depends
going
on-
on in Wright County Sheriff's Office, it certainly isn't happening.
It sounds like
Minneapolis.
they run a tight ship over there, which I appreciate. But
Yeah, much better though, right?
right.
What was the number? Like, how long was the training for a Minneapolis cop? Was it you said? 3
Oh,
months, Jesse?
I wasn't saying for Minneapolis, but I do know that in some states it's like 3 months, sometimes more. But yeah, no, it all depends on state and local laws.
I just personally I wouldn't want someone with only 3 months of training to be protecting me. I'd almost wish that it was somebody with like years, but
But like, how do you balance that? Like, I totally understand. Like, you want more training, but like at the same time, nobody wants to be a police officer, and you need people on the force. And with all this defund the police talk, at least in Minneapolis, like, what is there left to do? Like, the cops are in this really tough spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Base Minnesota asked, aren't those the same areas that voted to defund the police and reduce the number of officers?
Right.
Yeah, wasn't there something on the Minneapolis ballot that was like literally defunding the police?
It
that
failed.
It failed, but it just barely failed, right? Like it was like 49-51
Keith
or
Ellison
something like
supported
that.
it.
Did he?
So did Ilhan Omar.
Hmm.
They said you should vote for this.
Are you sure Keith Ellison did? I think Jeremiah Ellison did. I don't think Keith did.
I think Tina Smith did, and then everyone else stayed out of it. Wallace said you shouldn't vote for it.
Are you sure Keith Ellison
I can
did?
fact check
I don't think
myself
that. I
on
don't think
this,
that's true.
but I
think we know he does.
He tried to
behind the
walk it
scenes.
back.
Yeah.
Seems like
These guys are crazy.
it seems like the big thing that BLM fucked up with, because it's like, at the end of the day, if they had been talking sense, it would have been not get rid of the police, be done with the police. Like, all cops are bad, every single one, get rid of them.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter. They've made racial tensions worse in our country.
Oh,
like
100%.
they've made
They're just
things
a
even
big old
more
grift
divisive. I think
anyways.
I think people are more racist today than they were 5-10 years ago, and it's
Yeah.
because Black Lives Matter. It's because of the media. It's because of all the things they're trying to keep, push people apart instead of they want to divide the people instead of the people fighting the politicians.
Openly racist, encouraged by the left to be racist, right? They look at things in terms of race. That's another thing that went into effect today was the Crown Act, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that did?
Yeah, August 1st.
Oh, my gosh.
So you can smoke pot, but you can't own a firearm if you smoke pot, and you certainly can't make fun of someone's hair if it's racially charged. Actually, the law doesn't even really say it that way. It's yours.
Here's NPR. The charter amendment vote also divided Minnesota's Democratic Party. U.S. Rep. Ilhan Omar and State Attorney General Keith Ellison weighed in to support it, while Senator Amy Klobuchar and Governor Tim Walz opposed it.
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
All right.
Brad Ganser said the BLM grifters are more concerned about buying new houses than helping folks that may be disaffected.
Yeah, what he's
That's
referring.
100%
Yeah,
true.
what he's referring to is they raised a sick amount of money, like $40 million in 2021 or something like that, and just went to crazy expenses. So,
Well, in Candace's documentary, she goes, isn't it Patrice Cullors, the big old house that she owns, like mansion? She tries
Yep.
to go there to
Yep.
interview her,
Yep.
Yeah.
and like nobody will open the gates or talk to her, but it's clearly just her making money.
It's all
yeah, when I look at
top
this Minnesota stuff, because there's obviously the socialists that kind of like support this stuff, and then all the people here in the Twin Cities that make sure they show their allies with their signs out there. Black lives do matter. So stupid.
Yeah,
You know,
I think
if
there's
Black
like
Lives-
3 ways of thinking. There's BLM, there's Thin Blue Line, and then there's Don't Tread on Me. And I think we're in the Don't Tread on Me
Oh, yeah.
camp. Basically that, of course, there should be a police that, that's a very obvious function that's been around since the founding of our country and even way before then. But for the most part, don't infringe on my freedom. Don't step over your boundaries, and, the police should be focused on crime, not petty little problems with the people.
Well, they swear an oath to the U.S. Constitution, so I have a lot of respect for the cops. I think I'm with you here. I have a lot of respect for like the sheriffs and the cops who openly say we're not enforcing red flag laws, we're not going to people's houses and taking their guns. I think that's great. So I always support cops who do that.
Yep.
But that's based on like upholding your right to the Constitution, even in the face of like facing blowback.
Yeah, well, you definitely should enforce like violent crimes, right? But let's move on to this next story, because if Black Lives Matter really cared, they'd be on top of this nonviolent crime here. Let's talk about tax evasion. So this is from Technofog, which is a Substack. Tale of 2 plea deals, same crime, same prosecutors, different punishments. Pull up the image of Derek Hines and Leo Weiss. These are 2 prosecutors that are on the case with Hunter Biden. This is a really interesting story. As discussed here and elsewhere, the Hunter Biden plea deal and its accompanying exhibits and diversion agreement is a curious document. It reduces the power of federal prosecutors to convict Hunter Biden for more serious charges. It eliminates the potential for Hunter Biden to be a cooperating witness. It keeps the DOJ from congressional oversight. Its ambiguous terms could have foreclosed future prosecution of Hunter Biden for Foreign Agent Registration Act charges, and it left Judge Marilyn Norica rejecting it for the time being, citing concerns with its potential unconstitutionality and its unprecedented structure. And that doesn't even take into consideration that the plea agreement was made after the statute of limitations on some of Hunter Biden's crimes had passed, after charging recommendations of the DOJ tax division were ignored, after the scope of the broader investigation was improperly limited, and after search warrants were rejected and witness interviews were sabotaged. Now you see on the screen here, These are the two gentlemen assigned to the Hunter Biden case, Leo Weiss, Derek Hines. Derek Hines is on the left there. They treated less serious tax cases as compared to the Hunter Biden case. Wait, let me see here. Oh, we want to get to something else that has been all but ignored. How two prosecutors assigned to the Hunter Biden case, Leo Weiss and Derek Hines, treated less serious cases as compared to the Hunter Biden case. So this is a fascinating story. These two gentlemen were on a case in Baltimore. Let's see, the dates are, I feel like this was back in 2004. Leo Weiss is a trial attorney in the DOJ Criminal Division Public Integrity Section. He has held that position since June of 2023. By all accounts, Weiss is an aggressive prosecutor. It's in his DNA. He was part of Enron task force assigned to its racketeering trial against Big Tobacco and prosecuted a significant high-profile case against corrupt leadership in Baltimore, including Baltimore Police Gun Trace Task Force, former Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh, and former Baltimore City's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. Weiss also brought the biggest racketeering case in Maryland history. Now, this is what you probably haven't heard about. He also, including Hines, prosecuted a case against the top cop in Baltimore. This was Daryl D'Souza. He was the police commissioner, and they prosecuted him. Okay, so it's 2018. Sorry, it was much more recent. For 3 counts of failing to file individual tax returns. The case of D'Souza is particularly instructive as it demonstrates the uncharacteristically soft prosecution of Hunter Biden by Weiss and Hines. Also, allow us to explain. D'Souza was, I don't know, I can't read today. That was terrible. D'Souza was charged with failing to file an income tax return for the years 2013 to 2015 in violation of U.S. 267203. Not only had he failed to file income tax returns for those years, but D'Souza had also owed the IRS taxes for other years and had falsely claimed deductions that he was not entitled to. Do those charges sound familiar? Those are the same charges against Hunter Biden. Now, Hunter Biden is a little bit different because the total money here was relatively small. He owed approximately $60,000. The tax loss calculated by the IRS was between $40,000 to $100,000 total. Hunter Biden was millions of dollars. By the way, that was paid off, apparently. The back taxes was paid off by someone in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So his fees on those were much higher than this. So millions of dollars. This guy was tens of thousands of dollars. Now, this guy supposedly fraudulently claimed deductions. Okay, got it. Like travel expenses, charitable donations. Hunter Biden, as we learned from whistleblowers in the IRS, falsely charged a golf membership, which is really a sex club. Whatever the hell that means. I don't think we know what a sex club is. Did you Google that yet? Google sex club. Don't do that. I'm just joking. What were you going to say?
I was going to tell you no, I'm not going to Google
Oh, God, you knew the joke before. You were like ready to speak before I even got to it. I was like, what? That's funny. So let's pull up a picture of Daryl D'Souza here. So Black Lives Matter really cared. Why is this guy going to prison? So that's what ended up happening. He got prosecuted, went to prison for 10 months. Is that because he's black? Hunter Biden got a slap on the wrist. Now, luckily, that plea deal blew up in the face. We reported that, obviously, I think last Thursday. This gentleman went to prison for 10 months. Now, that's only 2 of the charges against Hunter Biden. They totally didn't even bring the fraudulent charges, the fraudulent deductions, which seems to be like lots of evidence. That's what the IRS agents were saying in their whistleblower testimony. And then the other thing about Hunter Biden, which is really fascinating, he pleads down a gun crime. And what's the gun crime? Anyone here know? The gun crime is that he was in possession or using drugs. So when he went to buy a firearm, he made a false statement on a background check, which is the thing that we're being alerted to today. If you smoke marijuana, you can't buy a firearm. I think you can't even technically, according to the federal law, possess a firearm, right?
What do you mean if you smoke marijuana, you can't buy a firearm?
Because
like if you smoke it once, if you
pull up, actually go to the article on the new gun laws today, because this is really interesting. how this is actually really relevant. ATF made a statement. I think it was a month and a half ago. We reported on this, and this is a federal versus state law conflict.
Where is this?
Overreaching Minnesota's new overreaching gun control law. Let's see, what line is that on in the show notes?
Don't think it was.
Line 10. Oh, yeah, it's in there. Yep, you're there. So, and it's the last paragraph. Today also marks the beginning of Minnesota's complicated marijuana legalization law. However, law-abiding gun owners will want to stay away. The federal ATF still bans marijuana consumption for gun owners, whatever happened to states' rights. Click on that link there, that last link. It says ban marijuana. And so that's our article. When did we write this thing? May 31st. Well, over 2 months ago. And this is the ATF St. Paul Division clarifying that when this does come, and today is August 1st, so marijuana is fully legal. It's not fully legal, according to this, because as the ATF agent says, the Federal Gun Control Act of 1968 prohibits any person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance as defined by the Controlled Substance Act of 1970, which, by the way, is marijuana according to federal law, from shipping, transporting, receiving, or possessing firearms or ammunition. Yeah, and I forgot about that. It's not just owning a firearm. You can't own ammunition. Now, I got to ask you guys this question. How many people do you think are breaking that law? How many marijuana smokers do you think there are in Minnesota currently? Meaning just today.
Like you're looking for a number, or
what is it?
Like
Hundreds of
percentage?
thousands?
Yeah.
Is it a million?
maybe.
Not a million.
I really don't know.
I have no idea. I have no history of drug use, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
'cause
20
alcohol's
to
not a drug.
30% of people or something like that. I have no idea.
30% of grown adults.
Right.
Or I should say 16 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a million? Is that far off? What do you guys think at home? Is that far off a million? Come on, guys. Give me some reaction here. Is it a million?
I don't know.
I don't think it's a million.
I-
Half a million?
What's
I
the
really
I need a
population?
number. I'm trying to
What's-
make a point
What's
here.
the population of Minnesota?
It's like 5
5 million or
million,
It's almost
5.5
6.
million, something like that.
Almost
Yeah,
5.7.
Okay.
I could say there's a million probably.
Let's say it's
more or
half
less,
a million.
yeah.
10%. Half a
Are
million?
we talking about as of today, or are we talking before today?
I'm saying have used marijuana in the last year. Let's put it that way.
oh,
Which
well,
means only today.
I think a million's a safe number then.
Mhm.
Really? You think it's that high?
Yeah.
Well, if it's
Okay,
regular
I think that's
usage
high. Let's go with a
versus-
half a million. Here's my point. Half a million. Let's just say half a million. So what percentage of those people have ammunition in their home?
Yeah. No, and actually, when I was doing some door knocking,
Yeah,
trying
you're going somewhere else
uh,
here. Answer my question.
Well, no,
What do you think?
I'm not going anywhere
Oh, you-
else. I was door knocking for Second Amendment causes in Albert
Okay.
Lee, and actually, I was talking to a guy who answered his door, and he said, "Look, I just don't want to sign on to it because I saw these new articles that I'm not even allowed to own a gun because I have a medical, a medical card for marijuana."
There you go.
I thought that was really interesting. I said, "Yeah, I agree. I think that's a stupid law as well. If I had it my way, we wouldn't be, telling people that they can't own a gun if they smoke marijuana. I think it's ridiculous." And actually, I brought a little hat to celebrate
my gosh.
legalization. I'm not going to wear it. I'll keep the MAGA one on. But, I believe in freedom. I think that everybody should be allowed to do what they want. And it's ridiculous to me that, we're going to say that some people don't deserve a constitutional right because they like a plant. I mean, what kind of state is this? This is
I
tyranny.
do want to preface that I think marijuana, or at least the smell, is disgusting. I've never smoked marijuana myself, but I just can't stand being anywhere in the vicinity.
Okay,
of
Ron
that smell.
DeSantis.
But
You sound just like him.
well, gee, I was about to get to a point here. But I don't think that you can take away someone's constitutional, God-given right based on that, especially when it's legal in the state.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, can you hold that hat up again?
Why?
I think I had it
Science
keyed out
purposes.
on
Brad
accident.
Ganser earlier said to fix a dent in your MAGA hat.
I can't. I bent it up a little bit. There you go, Dawson.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. I totally had that keyed out. There you go. That's
Oh.
better.
Oh, yeah. I
fine.
was kind of wondering why that was happening. I was looking on the screen. Well, going back to my point, because you did deviate, but that was a good story, so I do appreciate it.
It was
And
connected.
you were, I was
It was
like, where's he
connected.
going with this? And he's
Oh,
got the
sorry,
marijuana
I
hat.
contributed to the deviation.
No.
there.
Actually, it was good. We got the marijuana tat, and
I'm
we
not sorry
figured
that I
we had it keyed
deviated.
out too.
I'm glad I deviated. I'll do it again.
I'll do it again.
Should we talk about Barbie? 500,000 people use marijuana in the last year. Okay, let's say it's that. So what's the percentage that have ammunition in their possession, like in their home, or a firearm?
Of
Yeah.
those who
I got to imagine it's at least 10%.
Yeah,
It's probably
10,
20%.
20, 30%.
there are a
Yeah,
lot of
this is
lawbreakers
Minnesota.
out there.
Because, yeah,
Let's say it's a third.
mm-hmm.
So a third of 500,000, like that's 167,000.
Yeah.
Carry the 2. 167,000 people possibly in violation of a felony act.
You know what? Maybe this is how we get Democrats on board with nullification.
Well, technically, marijuana is nullification. Legalizing marijuana is nullification.
Right, but now we
That
just
alone.
got to take it that step further and say all gun owners who smoke
Tucker's one of
marijuana
that
are good to
percent.
go.
Tucker,
There's one.
I have
of
like
that.
400 rounds of, what does it say? I can't. It's off the screen.
I don't even know how to read this in like gun language.
Well, what does it say?
7.62 NATO ball. That's not including 9mm and 5.56. I don't know how to read this slash.
5 point. So those
Yeah,
are
whatever that
millimeters.
is.
Oh, now I can read it. 7.62 NATO.
Yeah.
That's just the ammunition type. Ball
Oh.
ammunition, just the type of bullet. That's not including 9mm and 5.56/223. Only 400
Oh,
rounds,
I could've
Tucker.
read that.
Jeez, gotta do some shopping.
Do you see his next comment though?
But wait, why did you say he?
Because below, I don't know if it shows up there yet. Yeah, it doesn't show up there yet. But he said, I used in the last hour lol.
Hey, can we read Brad Ganser's
Well,
comment?
What did Brad just say?
Tucker, you don't
Oh,
want to.
Brad.
Tucker, don't say that shit. Can you delete your comment?
Which he
I know,
lost
that's why I was
all
like,
of it
well,
in a
he's
boating
offering
accident,
this.
right? He lost all that stuff in an unfortunate
I mean, serious.
accident.
I'm dead serious. That you shouldn't put that stuff up there. And I have no issue with what you just told me.
Well, the chat disappears after the video isn't live anymore, so he's probably good.
You heard him, fellas. Incriminate yourself.
Maybe we shouldn't have read that damn comment.
Yeah,
Now
maybe
I'm a
that's
little
true.
upset we read that comment. This is the problem that I see is selective prosecution. You know.
Mhm.
Now I thought, hey, maybe I should smoke some marijuana, and now it's legal. I didn't really think that. But I didn't really care. But anyhow, like I'm not gonna do it because, I mean, other than losing all. See, I'm afraid I might have a shotgun shell left somewhere in my house. Ever since that boating accident, I think there's still a shotgun shell somewhere in my house.
Sure.
So selective prosecution, I'd be a little worried
But
about
no
that stuff.
firearms in your house, of course.
No, I mean, whatever that lake was, it was a long time ago.
Long
Don't
time
remember
ago.
it.
Sure, right.
Let's talk about this, the changes to gun laws. So basically, we got a story up on actionforliberty.com, and this was the story we were reading.
Do you want to read Brad's?
Do
Brad
we
says,
wanna
how
read
much
Brad's?
weed do you have to smoke to go see Barbie?
I was listening to him. Listen, I can be a reasonable guy. We did a Barbie review.
It did pretty
What?
well.
I
Yeah.
answered Brad Ganser.
Oh, you did? What'd you say?
25.
Yeah, but what is 25? 25 grams? What is that?
Yeah, I
even
did.
mean?
I did the weed.
I did the
I
I
did a
injected
weed.
the weed.
I smoked the pot.
Yeah.
Today, Minnesota gun laws go into effect. Some of these changes. What do we got for changes here today, William? You wrote the story.
Yeah. So basically, universal background checks are now a thing. So if you want to purchase a firearm, according to state law, it's a. Well, can we pull up that article? I want to.
Should be back. You just have to go back one on the last one.
It's the same one, yeah.
I don't even remember what the stupid language was. It's It's military style semi-automatic weapon, a semi-automatic assault weapon, something stupid like that.
Weapon of war.
Right, or a pistol.
So you got to go through an FFL according to today. If I was to transfer my firearm,
Which
or
you don't
sell a
have.
firearm, yeah, allegedly,
Right.
to you, William,
Mhm.
we'd have to go through an FFL, which is going to cost us something, right? And they do the background check, or we have to keep a paper record of transfer. Do you have a hyperlink to the? So the DPS actually came out with this. Click on that hyperlink there, Dawson. Yeah, there you go.
I'm assuming that this is the route that more people are going to go, right?
Well, I would certainly hope so. Now, apparently that sits with you for 10 years, at least the person that's transferring it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if a cop wants, so this is how stupid Democrat gun laws are, right? So you do this transfer to somebody, and then you hold on to it for 10 years, because in case that gun is used in a crime, they can go back and they could find that when this transfer occurred. Except for one glaring issue. The freaking people committing these crimes aren't going to do this, right? They're really not. There's no incentive for them to. If they even know about, did you know about this? Did you know about this private transfer that went into effect today? I don't think a lot of people knew about this. So, in fact, I don't know why we're doing the government's job for them. Maybe just to alert people so they don't accidentally get prosecuted. I don't even know how they find out about this kind of stuff too. That's the other thing. Selling the firearms.
Yeah,
Government
that's
doesn't
the problem. Even if we don't know about these laws, they're still going to charge us with it because, that mother who
Yeah,
came into our
mom.
studio was talking about how
Yeah.
her son had no idea about the ghost gun laws, and so it doesn't matter if we know or not. So in the end, it is better to be
That's
informed.
the thing. Like the ATF in St. Paul should be notified about these laws too, because he went to the ATF and asked, "Hey, I'm doing this. Is this okay?" And he was pretty detailed about it, and they said that he was good to go.
Yeah.
That alone, I think, should be enough to acquit him. Don't you think? I don't
All
know.
comes down to the prosecutors, comes down to the judge.
Anyway, that's it. We can talk about that more another time.
Brad
Yeah.
Panther has a question. He said, "Hey, Baby Walsh, do you still need a universal background check if you have a permit to carry?"
Yes, right?
Did you hear his
Say what-
nickname for you?
Baby Walsh.
Baby Walsh.
Baby Walsh. That's pretty good, actually. I like that.
I am part of the Sweet Baby
How old do you
gang.
think Matt Walsh is? He's probably my
He's
age,
in his
right?
40s.
Yeah.
Old
Maybe
man.
late 30s, actually.
Late 30s, I'd
Yeah.
say.
So the blonde Baby Walsh, I think that's a good nickname for you. That's kind of demeaning, though, and I don't like to demean these people on air, just off air.
What do you mean, these people? Us blondes take offense.
You know,
to
Brad
that kind of
Ganser
language.
talks a big game, but he's too chicken shit to come in here and actually do one of these shows. Oh, I tried stopping by, but I didn't tell you, so I knocked on the door.
Well, that's why we need to get the call-in feature going.
Yeah. All right, so
We didn't answer his
the answer to the
though.
question
Oh,
is
okay.
you already needed, when you buy a pistol or semi-automatic rifle, to use a permit to purchase or a concealed carry. Difference there, basically, they both go through your local law enforcement, mostly sheriff's office. Permit to purchase is like good for a year. I'm like 98% certain on that one. The only reason I'm not 100% certain is because guys like me just get their concealed carry. By the way, I'm against the concealed carry. I think you have a God-given right that the Constitution says you can carry. But anyhow, I'll go ahead and get that. That's 5 years, okay? So that expires in 5 years. I'm pretty sure permit to purchase is a 1-year thing. So either or allow you to do it. And that basically goes to your local law enforcement officer, and you do a background check. You get a card, and that now says you're good to go. Now here's the problem is I go back to this marijuana law. You might have that permit to purchase or that concealed carry. Then you're like, hey, we can smoke marijuana. You're at a party and everyone's like, yeah, we got some brownies, you know? And you know, I'm not saying you didn't know, but maybe if you didn't know, it doesn't matter. And you have one of those brownies or you smoke a joint. Now it doesn't matter if you have that permit to purchase or the concealed carry. You're committing a felony. Now, unless your name's Hunter Biden, you're probably getting prosecuted for it if they know about it. That's the problem here, right? So this goes back to that story. Hunter Biden is getting off on that, or allegedly was getting off on that. The plea deal blew up. But let me just get a quick poll, and then I want to hear from you guys too. Do you guys actually think Hunter Biden's going to jail at all? Do you think so?
No.
Right? So none of us actually believe this. It's a two-tier justice system. So the plea deal broke up for that day. But here's the deal. It was not only that, and BLM should be more concerned about on the tax evasion stuff. Hunter Biden's tax evasion is far worse than Darrell D'Souza. Right? And quite frankly, I don't give a shit about this issue because actually I'm against both of these laws. It's your money, so there's no such thing as tax evasion. It's your money. Right? The government doesn't have a right to take your money. I think the income tax is unconstitutional. And second of all, they can't stop you from owning a firearm. Shall not be infringed means something. But guess what? Hunter Biden isn't advocating for those things. And certainly his dad isn't advocating for those things. They're hardcore Democrats who actually believe in that shit. That you should go to jail if you don't pay your taxes. And you should go to jail if you don't follow gun laws. And so he is not going to jail. None of us believe he's going to jail. Do you believe he's going to jail? We don't believe he's going to jail. But a black cop got prosecuted for that exact same crime. So where's Black Lives Matter on that issue?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably because he's a cop, right? I guess that's the reason. Let's read some comments here.
Base Minnesota asked, you guys keep in touch with Mortensen? Haven't seen him on the show for a while.
Mortensen, should I say it? Yeah. Why does this matter? He's like in the Rocky Mountains right now for a period of time. So that's why I haven't had him on the show.
Yeah, we
shouldn't,
should.
you shouldn't discuss people's private vacations, but
No, I know. Yeah.
all I know, well, what the heck am I telling? If he's got a public Facebook page. Go look at his Facebook page. The guy's having a blast. He's got him and his buddy Don. They're out in like gorgeous area. I told him to scout some elk for me, so I know where they're at.
You jealous he didn't invite you?
No, I don't. I couldn't have gone, and I got an elk hunting trip coming up.
Oh.
Yeah,
When
but,
is
you
it?
know, I could have texted me at least.
When are you
nice to be
going
asked.
elk hunting?
What's that?
When is elk hunting?
I'm not gonna
start?
say that on the air. It's in the fall. Put it that way.
At least give us
So-
your home address.
What's that?
At least give us your home address.
What's
on
your
it.
social security number?
My social is.
Yeah, Tucker says BLM doesn't care because it's a cop.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest
it.
thing. That the all cops are bad thing. I never understood it. Like, yeah, they're not speaking up, but what about the cop that like saves an old lady from something, or what about blah 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 blah? There's
Well, he's still a racist, Dawson. I don't know what you don't grasp about
well, why isn't
that.
it all
They're all
cops are
racist.
racist? Did they go for
Because
alliteration
they're all
too
white.
hard?
Or something. They pay into the system. I don't know. It's a ridiculous argument.
And we still don't know the I almost said gender. We don't know the gender either. We don't know the race of the cops who shot.
Wouldn't that be a twist?
Oh yeah.
What's the twist?
If the cops ended up being black that shot him?
No, so I was in a thread when we were talking about this, and they go, was it a white cop? And I make an assumption, and I might be off on this, but I would imagine the state patrol is less diverse. Am I crazy thinking that? Because
No,
I would
I
think,
think-
MPD is more diverse than most,
Probably.
right?
I'd figure the same.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, I don't think it matters. I think it matters a little bit because it's a better narrative for them. But in the end of the day, all but Derek Chauvin, or no, two of the cops in the Derek Chauvin weren't white. The cop that shot, what was his name? That one was tragic because the guy
Muhammad
was.
Noor.
What's that?
Muhammad Noor.
No, not that one.
Oh,
Kim
What's his
Potter.
name?
But Muhammad Noor is another good case in point. Shoot, this was like
Dante Wright?
2016.
no, I was thinking Dante Wright's story. No.
Who's
2016,
Dante
I don't
Wright?
know. Another black
Wasn't
guy.
that-
No, that was
Sue
Kim
Cummings?
Potter. That was
yeah,
Kim
that was
Potter.
Kim Potter.
The one
Oh.
before that, it was not Brooklyn Park. Oh God, I'm having a brain fart here. He was the Asian.
Philando?
The cop was
Philando, someone in the comments.
Philando Castillo. There you go. Thank you. So I don't know if it matters in the end, right?
How much you want to bet that someone's going to move a bill in the state legislature to defund the state patrol this next session?
I don't think so. It'd be nuts. It'd be nuts if they did that.
Have you seen the bills that these inner city Democrats propose?
Yeah.
Well, why don't they start with the detachment that protects the governor? Because that's state patrol's mission.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
When
Not
William
saying it goes anywhere. But
when
like,
William
some-
was
Right.
saying-
Yeah. Someone might introduce it.
when William was saying, wouldn't that be a big twist when he was referring to the cop's race? I thought that he was alluding to, wouldn't that be crazy if the cop was transgender?
I thought you were going that
Yeah,
way
me
too.
too.
Yeah.
The first transgender cop to kill a man? I don't know.
You know what? That actually would be a twist because like the Democrats would have to pick a side there.
Yeah.
And then there'd be.
What do you
they'd say
think they
that-
would do?
They pick the tranny.
Right now, it seems like they'd pick the tranny.
Yeah. Yeah, because then they'd complain about all the anti-trans
Uh-huh.
hate going on because of this cop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. All the protests against him and the prosecution would be because I'm a transgender.
Well, think about the Christian school shooter, the tranny. Everyone was like, "Oh, there's so much anti-trans hate right now."
Yeah, speaking of which, that manifesto.
It's not
What's the
happening.
status on that
I
manifesto?
guess it's not happening.
Not
That is
happening.
insane that we
Still
never get
don't
to
know
see
that.
that.
Yeah. Right.
Has anything come out
So
about the
dumb.
body cam footage yet?
We've
Has
seen
anything
the.
been released?
Oh, for today?
No, we saw
Yeah.
that right away. We actually played on the show.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm
keep
I'm
an eye
talking
on this thing.
Today's.
Let's go to now. So not all cops are bad, obviously, right? Some good cops down in Winona, and good cops in Fillmore County. Putting in a lot of hours, lots of work in April, May, and June, trying to find Maddie Kingsbury, get to the bottom of that story. We got a story now, and we just put this on Action for Liberty. Top three things we learned from Adam Fravel's unsealed documents. So Fravel is in the discovery period. He's awaiting trial for murder 2, at least murder 2 right now. Maybe it gets up to murder 1. I still wonder how it's not murder 1 because it seems like this was premeditated. At least I would imagine the evidence is going to lead him that way. But they unsealed the search warrants or the warrants, a couple documents, and we learned some things. So the top 3 things that we learned from this: number 1, Maddie feared for her life, and this was given to a friend. She was chatting with a friend. Let me pull this up on my screen.
Wow.
Her friend Lauren DuBois, who was hospitalized in Rochester, and that's where Maddie was working. So she visited her, and she said everything was bad with Adam at the house. So, by the way, if you don't know the story, Maddie Kingsbury went missing on March 31st. She was living with a baby daddy, an on and off again boyfriend named Adam Fravel. The search went on for 59 days. Eventually, they found her remains in southern Minnesota. Was that 4 to 8 miles north of the Fravel family property? And then Fravel was arrested that week and charged with second-degree murder. Pretty much everyone assumed his guilt, but we didn't have a lot of the evidence. In fact, we learned a lot from this story, and there's more to come, by the way. So the only reason we're doing the story is because we had Maddie's aunt and uncle on the show, good friends of the show, and I gotta admit, like, not knowing Maddie Kingsbury, boy, she kind of touched my heart. Like, holy crap, what a good-looking young woman. Seemed like a great mother, great friendship, great bonds. Know some of her family, great people, and great singing voice. Like, in my opinion, a catch. What a catch. So it's so tragic, not only that she leaves her children, but she has this promising future in this guy she's got this off and on, again, relationship with. It seems like he's going nowhere in his life. Basically had no income, was relying on her totally for financial support, and then allegedly murdered her. So she says to her friend everything was bad with Adam at the house and that he was, quote, beating the hell out of her for years. And another reason I want to talk about the story is the signs, right? Like, it sucks to read the story and know the fate of Maddie when all these signs existed. And so if you ever come across this stuff in your life, make sure you talk to authorities. You know, I'm a coach in football. I coach a lot of different sports. My oldest son, 3rd grader. And for our football league, we have to take this thing called Trusted Coaches. It's like a platform where you learn what to do for concussions, what you do for other injuries, and what you do if there's the signs of abuse, child abuse. It's a really interesting thing. I'm actually glad we had to go through that training, because, you know, we're supposed to then report that within 24 hours, because can you imagine anything worse than a child being abused? And then, of course, as we talked about with the Sound of Freedom, a child being abducted.
Odd ones is I don't understand women who stay with guys like that. I just want to say, it's like, I don't think Maddie or anybody that is in that situation is choosing to stay with him. I think they're threatened probably multiple times. Like, it's not as easy just to get out of it.
Yeah.
As you probably think.
Or maybe they remain hopeful or something. Right?
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of situations where it's not just this easy peasy, I'm going to get out of this relationship.
Mm-hmm. Clearly not, right?
You know, like,
Well, she was even in the process of moving.
there's
out.
going to be a lot of consequences. They're threatening with her kids, I'm sure was the case multiple times. It's like she wanted her kids safe.
On top of all that, girls are different than guys. Guys are problem solvers. Girls
Yeah,
try
to be
do
nice
better
usually.
stuff.
So
I'm glad Bridget agreed with that, because I was waiting for Dawson just to get thrown under the bus.
No, I think it's true. Usually girls are like they try to solve it by just being nice to everybody.
I
that
know
doesn't usually
women,
work.
Jake. I know.
Yeah, but Dawson, what is a woman?
I'll have to think on that one.
Because there's no difference in genders, by the way. Gender is just a social construct. So I don't know
true.
what you guys are talking
So
about.
true. Many such cases. So the body cam footage is being released at 2:30.
2:30.
You think we can fill time for our live audience?
What do you guys
stick
think?
around?
Live audience? Do you want us to stay on air? We'll watch it together. Let's do that. Let's stay on air.
Because then we can also bring on the Dean Phillips story too. That'll kill some time.
Can we get food?
Do you need some food?
I'm so.
I haven't eaten either.
Well, you ordering food, or what are you saying? Do you have food here?
I have a
how
raw
triggered you're
chicken
getting, Jake.
breast in the fridge.
You look so concerned.
Will you go grab some chips or something?
Do you want chips?
Let me get to the
Dawson?
bottom of the story here, because this is actually great.
What kind do you
All right,
want?
hold on. We got to solve this food problem. How am I going to order online, or order right now? Or am I ordering online? Did
You
I
got a
just answer my
laptop.
question?
You answered your own
I'm
question.
running a show here. You
I'm
want me to
running a
order
show.
some food for you guys while we're live?
Yeah.
Someone who's not on here's got to do it.
I can do it.
And what are you ordering?
What are you guys in the mood for?
Can we get a Rumble rant to pay for our food real
Oh
quick?
gosh.
How about you guys? We
How
got
about
we got
Brad?
all
I'll
these
volunteer
snacks.
Brad.
There's
Yeah,
nuts.
Dawson, what
There's,
kind of chips do you
All
want
these
chips?
snacks. What are you talking about? All these snacks.
We have a lot of snacks.
we got chips. We got like what do we got? Nuts, like peanuts and almonds and stuff. Back. Can you just? I mean, like we're gonna only go another 15, 20 minutes, right?
William,
Whoa,
will you cook up
what?
a chicken breast for me?
God.
Chicken breast? Yeah, I can run to the back and grab that real quick.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought it wasn't cooked yet.
No, it's not. I asked him if you could cook it.
Actually, I have cooked chicken breast. I have steak, filet mignon. Got lobster.
Yeah, mashed potatoes.
Brad says he previously donated 20 for chicken wings. Dig into the Tushy fund.
There you go.
Well, he's giving us permission to use the Tushy.
Can I get to the bottom? I want to get back
Yeah,
to the
sure,
story
sorry.
on Maddie. My God, guys. See, well, the only reason I'm addressing this right now is I know he gets hangry. He gets really hangry.
Does
And he
get
runs the
hangry.
dials. Yeah, he gets hangry.
But then I'm like kind of motivated to like cheer him on because I'm also hungry, but like more quietly hungry. Back to the
I thought
story.
I thought we were professionals around here. Are we not
It's a hang.
professionals?
It's a hang, Jake. You guys want shirts that say it's a hang?
Oh
on it?
my
I think those
God.
would
I
say-
want. I
yeah.
want a shirt that says it's a hang on.
I don't
Oh, I
like
hate you guys. According to Du Bois, Maddie told her that if anything happens to me, know that Adam did it. I would never leave my kids. End of the quote. So apparently, as you guys alluded to, yes, people feel threatened. In this case, Maddie knew that that was the case with Adam Fravel. Number one thing, so basically alerted friends that if something happens, it was Adam. Number two, Fravel was seen on a UTV with shovel that cadaver dogs later detected human remains. So you got to understand, like cadaver dogs don't just detect human smells, right? That'd be like a hound dog that's a search party. They're detecting basically a dead body. Obviously protrudes different smells. So on Easter Sunday, April 9th, so I'm just trying to put this in perspective. I was out on that Saturday, the 8th. And not a lot of people were out on Easter Sunday. They so they had a big search on Friday, big search on Saturday. And then they kind of suspended it for Easter Sunday. People want to be with their families. So on that day, Fravel was seen on the trail cam just north of the Fravel family property, driving a UTV on the property with a shovel in the bed. I think it was a Polaris Ranger that he was driving. And this was at like 4:50, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I think it was about 4 miles north of the family property. And this is so a trail cam. And apparently this was given to the police right away. So one day later, police seized that UTV, and the shovel and cadaver dogs were alerted to the bed of the UTV and the spade of the shovel. So the dogs smelled something in the bed of the UTV and on that shovel. So now once again, what does that prove? Boy, it's pretty damning there, right? Also makes you think he moved the body, because I don't think that was the location. I think if that was the actual location they found her on, it would be just a clear-cut case, but I don't think it was. So they allege that maybe he moved the body. And then number 3, Fravel admits to police an infatuation with Gabby Petito. You guys remember Gabby Petito? It's like a social media star. She and her...
I never heard of her before we started talking about this case.
Whoa, really?
Gotcha.
No.
It was like all over, I think.
Well, what year was that?
I want to say it
Last
was
year?
2021, I want to say.
Really?
It was coming out of
Oh.
COVID or during COVID.
Yeah.
So they kind of toured the United States.
They
or
were
something
doing like
that.
a road trip. Yeah. Of all the different-
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I don't remember that.
So Maddie texted friends last December that Fravel told her she would, quote, end up like Gabby Petito, end quote, if she didn't learn to mind. When questioned about that statement by police, so they did ask Adam Fravel then, we learned, Fravel admitted to being infatuated with Petito, but told them it was a joke. Yeah, that is a funny joke, right?
Yeah,
What an
sick.
interesting joke. No, that is very interesting story. So there you go. 3 biggest things we learned now. There's going to be more information released. They're in discovery period. We'll try to update you guys on the story as we learn more. I think there was some other stuff. We learned that he ripped off. So he had Wire. I think it was called Wire. Or it was Wiz cameras. Do you know what these are? They're like a knockoff Ring. Wise.
they like-
I think Wise is the name.
They're really cheap, like low quality, right?
yeah, like Chinese made.
Yeah.
I got a
Wise is
buddy.
a brand of those, yeah.
I got a buddy that's cheap as shit, and he bought those. So he could be.
Are these like the security camera footage that supposedly picks up aliens, but it's always like super grainy, like those types of security cameras?
Yes. Anyhow, these devices were removed from the house that they lived in, and so now, yeah, very interesting. But once again, not like damning evidence. So those are 3 pretty interesting stuff. Also, why you would understand they have a little bit better case against Adam Fravel. Once again, he's murder too, so they don't have proof of premeditation at this stage. My hope is they find him guilty on murder too, because there you go. Oh, before I forget, let me go back to the Daryl D'Souza. I did have, Dawson, when you have a chance, the charging documents here. In it looks like it was from Friday, March 29th, 2019. There you go. U.S. District Judge Catherine Blake sentenced former Baltimore Police Commissioner Daryl D'Souza, age 54, of Baltimore, Maryland, today to 10 months in federal prison, followed by 1 year of supervised release for 3 counts of failing to file individual federal tax returns. Judge Blake also ordered D'Souza to perform 100 hours of community service and ordered him to pay restitution the full amount of the government's loss, which is $67,572.72. And basically, he already made payments of what looks like $7,000 some, so he owed $60,000 less. If you jump to the bottom of that, you see United States Attorney Robert Hur commended the FBI and IRS CI for their work in the investigation. Mr. Hur thanked Assistant U.S. Attorneys Leo J. Weiss and Derek E. Hines and Sean Delaney, who prosecuted the case. So there you go. There's proof right there. And this is from justice.gov. So this is the DOJ's, well, just go back to the top. United States Attorney's Office, District of Maryland. So if you didn't, if you thought this story was too good to be true, there you go. Right there. Same criminal code. Biden plead down. Same 2 prosecutors, Weiss and what was this guy's name? Weiss and Hines. And somehow the black cop, the black guy, goes to prison for 10 months. Hunter Biden gets a sweet-ass plea deal. I would think BLM would be interested in that story. And who also might be interested in that story? Someone running for president. Who in Minnesota would even think of such a task?
Yeah, it's
Actually,
crazy.
we have quite a few people right now.
Do we really?
Well, Amy Klobuchar, Tim Walz, Dean Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Tim Walz is actually going to do it?
Why else is he speaking in Iowa? Like, it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there are all these puff pieces about him, how he's the anti-DeSantis, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If Joe Biden, had, like, poofs out of thin air, I'm mixing my metaphors here, but you better believe that Tim Walz would probably make a run for it.
By the way, speaking of Joe Biden, I'm not going to show people on this show. I'll show you later. Our state fair sign.
Mm-hmm.
Mighty good.
Oh, you finally
haven't
got
seen
it
yet. Oh yeah, pretty darn good.
You guys will
Yeah.
have to make sure you're subscribed to our email list.
That's
if
right.
You want to see it.
I probably will put that out tomorrow. Yeah. It's mighty good.
There may or may not be shirts for sale with that same sign on it, which I know you guys will love.
Brad says I have wise cameras. Of course he does.
Yeah.
We're cheapo.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
But yeah, no, it's really crazy about what Dean Phillips is saying, that he wants to run for president because, you know,
Well,
Dean
pump
Phillips
the brakes.
said,
Pump the brakes.
say what?
He doesn't necessarily want to run for president. He's being
Right,
urged.
he's meeting
like,
he's meeting
"If I
with
must-
donors.
If I must run for president,
Right,
I
he's
will."
meeting
That's
with
how-
donors.
that's how
So,
politicians do it.
you know, we had seen the stories from months and months back that Dean Phillips was unwilling to endorse Joe Biden, that he said Joe Biden was too old. He didn't think Joe Biden should run again. That's where most people thought this thing would end. Most people thought, okay, he's just kind of, you know, voicing his concerns, which usually we don't even get Democrats to do that. But that was my interpretation too. I thought he's just voicing his concerns, but he's going to fall in line just like the rest of them. Well, now all of a sudden it's looking like Dean Phillips is considering a serious run for president. And I have a video that I have over with you, Dawson, that what you're going to see is Dean Phillips apologizing for being white and apologizing by saying that he's very sorry because he could have been confused with people on January 6th. So, and of course he's wearing a mask. That's the kind of guy this is. But yeah, it's really interesting video. We should check it out.
All right, hold
We
on.
have
I
a
gotta
quick,
get
before your video, a $10 Rumble rant from Brad Ganser says, make sure to make 2 state fair signs.
Nice.
It's interesting, Brad, and I appreciate the Rumble rant for all the harassment I give him. I'm shocked he even did that, but that was very nice. Maybe he only gave us $10 because he's going to spend the rest on a nicer camera than the Wise cameras. Apparently they do very well for their price, but they're really cheap.
I've never actually heard of these Wise cameras before. We were talking about them the other day.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, yeah, we're going to make 2. We always do a front and back, but we have to have an insurance policy unless State Fair steals them again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys this story. So the State Fair comes to me and they go, you can't be in the spot that you were in the last couple of years. And I'm like, oh, here we go again, shenanigans. And I go, why can't we have that spot? You know what they say? Because the lines were too big. They tell us we're basically too popular and the trolley couldn't get through, which a lot of us know because like that trolley person who was like a Democrat was like trying to run over people. So you could, if you went and saw the State Fair, just get on our email list. You'll get we'll show you the crowds from last year. Yeah, we got moved to a better spot. We're just down the road from Tim Walz. It's hilarious. Mm-hmm. We're actually in between Tim Walz and the Republican Party. So not politically, we're not between those two because the Republican Party is closer to Tim Walz than us. But, yeah, it's going to be an awesome spot. All right, let's play this video. Dean Phillips on the House floor speaking one of those useless masks.
And loved ones again. We won't forget. We won't forget. But I'm not here this evening to seek sympathy or just to tell my story, rather to make a public apology for recognizing that we were sitting ducks in this room as the chamber was about to be breached. I screamed to my colleagues to follow me across the aisle to the Republican side of the chamber so that we could blend in. For I felt that the insurrectionists who were trying to break down the doors right here would spare us if they simply mistook us for Republicans.
What? I haven't heard this.
But within moments, I recognized that blending in was not an option available to my colleagues of color. So I'm here tonight to say to my brothers and sisters in Congress and all around our country, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For I had never really understood, what privilege really means. It took a violent mob of insurrectionists and a lightning bolt moment in this very room. But now I know. Believe me, I really know. But I want to close with an invitation, a hopeful invitation at that, to everybody watching or listening. Whether you experienced January 6th right here in this room, whether you were barricaded in an office across the street, or whether, like most Americans, you experienced it through a television screen. Please do not allow that day to change you for the worse. Rather,
I won't.
Please find something in it to improve yourself, to improve our country, and to improve our world. I surely did, and I hope you'll join me. With that, I yield back.
Wow. I've
Yep.
never seen that.
Yeah, no,
So
he
funny. I'm
apologizes
shocked.
for being white. He says, oh, I'm so sorry to my other colleagues because they couldn't blend in like me. It just goes to show this guy is
So he's apologizing that there aren't more black Republicans? Basically.
Well, but what about the black Republicans? Does he not believe that's a thing? I mean, clearly it's a thing.
right.
What about Tim Scott in the Senate chambers?
right. But this is the kind of race baiting stuff that I was talking about, where the politicians just want to divide us. And for him to make that kind of apology just shows how woke he is. How he's willing to say and do anything that he thinks will get him ahead.
But he's
with
really
the
not,
Democrat.
Jesse.
In
The heat of the moment, he just goes right back to his racist ways, doesn't he?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. He said, "Oh, I'm gonna go."
Those are
with
his
the-"
instincts.
Yeah, he
His
said,
instincts are to blend in, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna hang out with the white people. I'm good. Don't come at me. That's Dean Phillips. Yeah. So that means that in a time of duty, just like DeSantis, when the moment is happening, he totally crumbles, totally falls, and that's not exactly what a leader is. But what I just find this potential presidential run to be really interesting, because I question Is the run legitimate? Does Dean Phillips plan on attacking Biden? Is this an insurance plan in case Biden, all of a sudden slips and falls? Or is he actually going to be running against Joe Biden?
No, because once again, all this is stupid, right? Let's cut through the bullshit here. This is whatever. I don't really know what's behind this thing. Maybe it's to build his profile. He's clearly with the establishment because you remember when, what's his nuts, Jeffries was running for speaker. Obviously, the Democrats were never going to get the vote, but they had Jeffries up on the Democrats were United. Remember, Dean was one of the close allies speaking on behalf. So it's just like the Democrats in Minnesota. You know the young ones that they are trying to groom. They try to groom Dan Wogelman. That's why he's the Speaker pro temp.
Yep.
Also likes to drink liquor in liquor store parking lots. Chug a bottle of vodka, get behind a car, and then get named Police Officer of the Year. Or Minnesota Police and Peace Officer Association's Legislator of the Year. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. So anyhow, what they're clear. So the Democrats, I could see if there's any way possible that they think Biden could win again, they're gonna just stick with Biden because they got everything they want. They got some dead man walking who's just gonna do exactly as he's told. That's what he's doing. Even the freaking Easter Bunny can direct this guy. It's so funny watching Biden these days. He literally is always asking, "Oh, they want me to go there," right? He says this. He's like, "Oh, they want me to go over there." It's like that's all they do, right? So and literally, if you haven't seen the footage, you just gotta look up Easter Bunny Joe Biden. It's the craziest thing ever. But the Easter Bunny can even direct him. So why would you get rid of that? The only reason they get rid of it is because he can't win. And there's a national poll that was out yesterday, I believe. By the way, national poll, anytime you hear someone say national poll in politics, run because that's not how we elect presidents. But it is somewhat true that even in the states that are going to matter, Biden is not looking as good against Trump. So if he's going to lose, and that's the calculation Democrats are going to make, there's no way they're allowing Dean Phillips, RFK, any of these other guys to get traction. They're going to sort this stuff all out in their convention. And the reason Phillips can't be that guy is no one knows who the hell Dean Phillips is. Right. Except for Dan Wogelman when he chugs the Phillips vodka.
So you think this is just for attention?
That's Dean Phillips' money. You know, he has a vodka company, right? Or a liquor company.
Right.
Yep.
Isn't that really crappy vodka?
Yeah, but that's what Dan Wogelman, I mean, that's what I would call parking lot vodka, right? It's not like a party vodka. It's more of a parking lot vodka.
Well, and the other thing about Dean Phillips is that he's not a real alternative to Biden. Like everyone's saying, oh, he's this unifier, he's this moderate. But as you'll see from the Action for Liberty story that I published 2 days ago now, he votes with his party like 97% of the time. Yeah. Like he's a stooge for Joe Biden. He'll be the same thing. I don't know why people like this guy.
But it's just clearly not going to happen because no one knows who the hell he is.
Right, but, if he got in, he would start to pick up a little bit of traction, especially because of the fact that we're thinking that Joe Biden will not even be on the ballot in New Hampshire. If Joe Biden is not going to be on the ballot in New Hampshire, if Joe Biden is not going to be on the ballot in Iowa, like is what's planned right now, that means that someone else is probably going to win. It could be RFK. It could be Dean Phillips. It could be Marianne Williamson.
But once again,
Joe Exotic.
Democrats have Democrats have shown they're not going to allow anyone, right? Like, look at Bernie. We're going to stop that. They will stop it. They have the ability to stop it, which is really interesting. I was thinking about that this morning on my drive in. Bill Clinton was probably the last legit grassroots guy, unless you think Obama somehow pulled off a defeat of Hillary, because obviously they wanted to crown her in 2008. But maybe the establishment was pretty divided on it because Obama seemed very promising to him. But Clinton was probably the last time they really had a grassroots campaign. Clinton was an establishment when he ran in 92.
Right.
So I think ever since then, I mean, look, they got rid of Bernie Sanders when he ran against Hillary in 2016. They got rid of the whole field. That was impressive. And then basically Bernie Sanders to get Biden in. There's no illusion that they're going to allow unpicked, unblessed person win that DNC convention.
But that's the thing. Dean Phillips, like you're saying, he's a part of the establishment. That's what adds another layer to this thing because it makes it more confusing, because we would think that the establishment is all lining up behind Joe Biden, because he's a part of the Problem Solvers Caucus. And that's just a, establishment, corporate, corrupt caucus of rhinos and corrupt Democrats.
Now, when you say establishment, and I'm just as guilty as you in this one, right? establishment doesn't mean really one body here.
Right.
Right.
Like you could look at the Republican establishment in Minnesota, and that's referring to a lot of different little centers of influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, Immer has a circle of influence. It's not the same circle of influence necessarily as, like, for instance, maybe Norm Coleman's center or the, well, I don't want to get into the weeds of that. When we have our membership section, we'll get in the weeds of this stuff and give people more intel than they would ever hear anywhere else. But they're not always the same people. So as far as we know, Dean's establishment is with Hakeem Jeffries.
Well,
Maybe it
I
doesn't
would
go
say with
beyond that.
Hakeem, I would also say with Josh Gottheimer. Josh Gottheimer is, considered to be a corporate moderate. He's basically the worst of the Democrat Party and the worst of the Republican Party put into one. And Dean Phillips really gets along with that guy. Josh Gottheimer, I've seen lots of videos going after him. He's one of those unknown members of Congress that's really kind of pulling strings behind the scenes. And for example, the banning of stock trading of Congress members and senators, Josh Gottheimer and I imagine Dean Phillips is on the same page. I'd have to look, but that crew of people were leading the fight against it. When we're talking Dean Phillips, he's a slick guy. He's Jewish. He loves Israel. He loves the Ukraine war. Vaccine, mask mandates, he was all for it. There's a lot of things where he just fell in line, and that's what makes his run very interesting to me, because if he's fallen in line with the Democrats on all these things while claiming to be a moderate, he must have some reason to be thinking he can challenge Biden. I think he'd get a little bit of media attention. And also the Democrats, you're right, the politicians want Biden, but I don't think the people do at all. I think maybe only 30% of Democrats actually want Joe Biden to run again. The rest of them are looking for somebody else. They'd vote for anybody. That's part of the reason RFK Jr. is doing so well, is just because they see the Kennedy name. They don't want it to be Biden. So Dean Phillips has an opportunity in these first couple of states, Iowa and New Hampshire. If he can get some sort of traction, we could see a fight on our hands.
So here's my theory.
Hold on. Are you cooking chicken on the hot plate in there?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
So
All right,
you
well-
need to have the light more on more often, because
Well,
we can actually see you.
Okay, hold on. We got to get to this press conference here. So do you have video?
I don't know where I'm supposed to go.
Try KARE 11, yeah.
KARE 11 said they're going to be streaming it.
They had a stream up earlier, so they might be having one on YouTube.
Yeah, unfortunately, we got to go to corporate media here. We always dog on these people, but they at least
Yeah, KARE 11 does have a...
on their YouTube. Just go to their YouTube. I'm assuming we're going to see this footage for the first time in a press conference. Well, regardless, we still want to do that. All right.
I want to know what that You Are Pervy video was on your home screen.
No, who cares? Live.
That's upcoming. Okay.
We'll just keep it there. That's a scene from 3 squad cars next to this Ford. Well, it does have taillights, so it looks like they just weren't operational.
Mhm.
Brad says they know Biden will not be the nominee and are preparing accordingly.
Well, yeah, if they know Biden's not going to be the nominee, which I'm not convinced of at this point, but I'm guessing that's the talk, then they're just going to go to the convention and name the successor, because that's really how it's done. It's delegates select delegates, and they got a super delegate thing too, which is really funny on the Democrat side. It's so anti-grassroots. But they're going to select someone out of the convention, and that's why Phillips can't be the guy, because they're not going to go forward with Dean Phillips. I almost didn't sound right when I said that. Dean Phillips, because no one knows who the hell he is. So you're not going to nominate someone that nobody knows.
I have a theory about this.
Go.
If they do replace Biden, they're probably replacing Harris too. And
they want to get rid of her for sure. Yeah,
Amy
no doubt.
Klobuchar would be a great option for vice president, which means Dean Phillips would be in a great position to run for her seat in the Senate.
Here's the thing. How much does Minnesota dynamics matter to the DNC? It could matter a lot, hence why Walz is touring in Florida and Iowa and stuff like that. So it could be, but I just think, like, we look at this from the Minnesota lens. We're like, oh, look at this strategic value. It's like, do they really see it that way out there? Maybe not. They probably are
I think it
They
could
probably
we need to get
do.
Gavin Newsom in the White House right now. We got to groom this guy.
It could be a thing where Amy's like covertly planning to retire, and Dean Phillips is looking to fundraise.
Right,
Yeah.
and so
think
far, I don't think Amy Klobuchar has put out a statement endorsing Joe Biden. And surprisingly, Michelle Obama, Big Mike, hasn't endorsed Joe either. So that leaves some
Is
people
this,
like me
video
to be
going live
suspicious.
right now? Is this just the ad
That's an ad.
pre-roll, but is it going live?
Oh, okay.
So we'll make that big screen once it goes live here.
That chicken smells so good, Dawson. I can smell it from here.
What did you put on your chicken?
It is just some garlic salt. That's it.
It smells
Do you
like
think this is
chicken.
gonna be some bullshit where they like go on for 20 minutes of talking? You know,
That's why I'm preparing
what
with
we
my
do?
chicken.
no, it's a hang. By the way, we'll be broadcasting live from the state fair,
Yes.
allegedly.
From the state fair or
From
at
the state fair, something
from
like
here?
that. I don't know. We're gonna do
Okay.
something. We're gonna have a lot of
Skuma
fun at the state
Legend
fair.
one on YouTube says they're gonna put walls in your old spot, seeing as no one visits his. The state fair.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm hoping they keep the spot. So we're right
I don't
next to
know
walls.
that. That spot. I like our old spot because that spot I feel like
This is
it's
a better
people just
spot.
trying to get through.
This is a better
like-
spot, Bridget.
You think
You
so?
gotta trust me on this one. You
Because
got a
the
better
Scott
I don't
Jensen booth
know.
won't be like down the block anymore, so like
Yeah.
people won't be.
I'm
filing
not
through that
saying
way
our old
anyway.
spot was bad. By the way, if you guys are wondering, we're right by the Ballpark Cafe. I think
Or
actually
next to the
Ryan
food
Wilson's
building,
spot
if
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like more of the heart of the state
I
fair.
know, but I feel like it's so packed in that little spot that people are just trying to like get through.
Well, that's fair, but they're going in and out of the Ballpark Cafe building or the building behind it because it's where the best cheese curds are.
They're gonna go in, they're gonna get their food, and they're gonna eat, and then they're gonna be like, "All right, let's go see."
Well, first of all, we're a destination
Maybe.
booth, damn it. People come to see us. That does happen.
Haters and supporters alike.
We'll take them both,
Mm-hmm.
right?
it's true.
Someone threw papers at my face last year. A hater. Remember that? Some guy like came by. Was just so ticked.
You got assaulted last year.
Yeah,
I didn't
semi.
know you got
Pretty
assaulted.
cool.
I don't remember that. But
Yeah, I remember telling you that, and you're like, and I was like, it's not a big deal. I didn't nothing.
oh, that's probably why,
Like-
because you said it's not a big deal. So then I
Like he just threw papers, and I was like, ooh, you're tough.
What is going on in the comments
tough.
right now?
what are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm just seeing a lot of interesting words.
Wait, I like titties. Are you saying titties are bad?
Oh, over here,
Yeah, what's going on? Like it.
Elijah Fire. A lot of Caps comments.
I think
Making me
your
think it's
Capski
like
is
Elijah
stuck.
who used to work at our state fair. I don't
Yeah,
know if
that's
it actually
what-
is.
I thought of that too when I first
Yeah.
saw it.
All right, it's 2:32. Damn it! Come on.
Do we know if the video's going?
We're currently live with them and us also.
Will the wheel?
Tucker's got a
tyranny back.
CBS. Is CBS actually live right now? I assume CARE's not going to screw this up, but who knows? You want to check that CBS feed just to see?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, that's so rude.
I want to got rid of that. I want to got rid of that feed, but okay.
I didn't. Whoa. I don't care about that.
Tucker says nobody's at the podium right now.
Oh, at
so
least they're
Carolina's
showing it.
probably good. Yeah. Michael Obama and Newsom is my predicted bet.
Oh, like Newsom is VP? I haven't heard that
Says
one.
Napkinator.
I would assume it'd be the other way around, like Newsom.
no, you got to remember,
Obama.
They
Obama's
didn't
a big
specify,
name.
but
Right, but Newsom brings the experience and Obama brings the name.
What do you mean the experience? Michelle Obama was in the White House before.
Doing what? Decorating? Making school lunches?
He said
better?
it, not me.
Literally, that's what the first lady does. Just decorate and make lives miserable for school children.
Oh, jeez.
That's true.
Not the leftist first ladies. They do so much more these days.
Michelle Obama forced us to eat chili. What was the Doritos flavor? The reduced fat chili spice Doritos or
Hey,
whatever.
but at least Amy Klobuchar legally classified a tomato as a vegetable, so pizza would still be available in school lunches.
Thank
what?
goodness.
Mm-hmm. Even though tomatoes are a fruit, but legally it's a
Tomatoes
vegetable.
I don't think you can even
Wow.
classify cafeteria pizza as pizza.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh my God, can we get to this video? What is with timelines today with everybody?
I skipped out on lunch today so I could be back here sooner, just so you know.
And I'm supposed to feel bad for that because
No,
you
I'm
weren't
just
here,
saying
like, you
you're
were here like
ragging
a
on me for time.
45 minutes after you told me you were going to be here.
I was
so
here half an hour after.
It's
I gave the-
11:45, wasn't it?
It was 11:30.
It's 11:45.
I don't think so.
I got
agree to
timestamps.
disagree.
I got
11:37 and a
timestamp it.
half.
I could show you. I could show you a timestamp.
What timestamp could you show me?
The camera
Oh, okay.
coming in. There you go.
We could look.
Why are you sweating all of a sudden? Now you're sweating.
Elijah Fire's eating a fat burger right now.
Oh, what was with the Zoom?
You were sweating.
Oh.
I'm all set. I got my chicken. It's almost done. Life is
Brad asks,
good.
will the Wheel of Tyranny be back? We are doing a lot of
different
cool things. We're signing up election judges, both Minnesota and Wisconsin, which is really cool. So, because we get a lot of people so last year, a lot of people were like, yeah, we agree with you, but we're from Wisconsin, so we can't vote in your governor race. And so we're like, well, there's a lot of Wisconsin people coming up, so we'll register these people for election judge positions or get them set
Tell
up.
them the overall theme of the booth, though.
Dump Biden.
Yep.
Of course, dump Biden.
Yep. It's a bigger message.
I can't wait till they see the image. It's so good.
Yeah.
And so let's see here.
We're doing
Basically, sign people up to impeach Joe Biden, which the war drums are starting, right? We really agree with this. Of course, they're
Says
not
they're
even
live talking now, Tucker just said.
They're live?
Yeah, but Kara Levin's not showing that.
Where are they streaming? Who's streaming, Tucker?
Was it CBS?
Didn't
he
you
was
say
on CBS.
Yeah.
Oh,
See if you open up a
maybe
different
check that.
YouTube on CBS
Make sure it's CBS Minnesota, not just CBS.
Yeah.
or WCCO.
Yeah. Now we know not to go with Kier 11 next time, I guess.
Better put these on. Oh, here we go. All right,
And
let's
we'll
go
take
to
you
it.
there now.
Thank you, everyone. Are we ready? I know some folks, we had some latecomers here. Thank you very much. I'm Howie Padilla. I'm the Director of Communications for the Department of Public Safety. Appreciate you all being here today. I know there's a lot of questions, and we have a lot too. Today you'll hear from the Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bob Jacobson. Again, the spelling of that last name is.
Sorry. Kara Levin started.
Boy, as
Oh.
much as people think I like hearing my own voice, that was not great.
What do you think that was all about? Was they monitor the
Oh,
room?
they are having some
C-
issues.
OBSON. Following Commissioner Jacobson, you'll hear from Colonel Matt Langer, 2 T's, L-A-N-G.
That's the guy who's that's the
State
leader of State Patrol.
As a couple of reminders, please, as you introduce, now that you've met them and you know them, as you introduce your first question, please remember to state your name and your news agency. Doesn't have to be if you have more than one question after that. Secondly, as a reminder, I'll just tell you that, as you know, and as has been repeated often, there's still an ongoing investigation here. As the questions afterwards, if they get to be
What'd
too
you say?
specific too many times on that, we'll go ahead
Okay.
and
Why can't I
and-
hear you
and
through the
end things.
headphones?
Following Colonel Langer, see the video.
Those connection issues are on their
There's been
side.
many requests.
Yeah.
And with that, Commissioner, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Howie. Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm Bob Jacobson, and I serve as the Commissioner of the state's Department of Public Safety. First, let me offer my sincerest condolences to the family of Mr. Cobb. The Cobb family has experienced an immense tragedy. Anytime a loved one is no longer with us, it's
You want to check another feed there, Dawson? See if someone else got a better one.
CBS fumbling.
As you can
with
see
that.
there, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties there. We're at the news conference with the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, which underneath it is
family, Mr. Cobb. The Cobb family has experienced an immense loss and tragedy. Anytime a loved one is no longer with us, it's incredibly difficult and shocking. But today I'm here with Colonel Langer to share the video of this incident. I will also reiterate that the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension Force Investigations Unit is working to gather the facts of this incident, and it is a top priority. But it will take time. As is their usual process, once they complete their initial investigation, they will release additional details about this incident, including the names of the people involved, a more detailed description of the incident and how it unfolded, and any evidence recovered at the scene. So more information will be released by the end of the week by the BCA. But today, we will share video with the public. I now turn to Colonel Matt Langer, the Chief of the State Patrol.
Well, I just want to see the
for a few
video, you
remarks
know,
before we
Yeah.
share
unless
that
they're
video. Thank you.
explaining.
Right.
I wonder why they
Thanks,
zoomed in on his
Commissioner.
face so much.
My name is Matt Langer. I have the honor and privilege of serving as Chief Colonel of the Minnesota State Patrol. A lot has transpired in the past couple of days, and one of my opening remarks to echo the sentiment from the Commissioner is when I think about everything that I've seen and been through in the past couple of days in my job, the one way that I would classify it is this is just a tremendously sad situation. It's sad from every perspective and for everyone involved. The State Patrol is committed to doing our very best to be responsive and transparent, while also honoring the investigative process. As you probably noticed yesterday, we committed to releasing the body-worn camera video as rapidly as we could, but only after the family was allowed an opportunity to view it first, which is exactly what the Commissioner and I spent this afternoon doing. We'll be showing you a video of the incident, squad and body-worn camera, along with one still photo, and I'll offer a few facts of the case that we can release today. Please remember this is still an open and active investigation, and many of the answers we simply don't have yet. And the Minnesota State Patrol is not the investigating agency, so questions about the investigation are not things that I'm aware of. I'll do my best to answer questions, and it's my spirit generally in a news conference to be very helpful. And I'm predicting today there will be an awful lot of I can't talk about that. I don't know. It's part of the investigation. I don't have the answer. Here's what I can tell you about the incident. Just before 1:50 a.m. early Monday morning, a State Patrol trooper was monitoring traffic coming out of downtown on Interstate 94. That would be a normal practice for our troopers who work overnight hours in their search for impaired drivers and watching for traffic violations. While observing traffic, the trooper saw a Ford Fusion without any taillights on, traveling northbound on Interstate 94 near Lowry Avenue in Minneapolis. The trooper pulled this vehicle over, and during the course of that investigation, that traffic stop, troopers learned that the driver was actually wanted by law enforcement in Ramsey County in connection with a felony order for protection violation. That certainly prolonged the interaction roadside as the troopers worked to validate and confirm that that want on this individual was still in effect and that they had the right person. As they worked to detain the driver to get him out of the vehicle, the driver refused to exit. Troopers were attempting to remove the driver from the vehicle verbally and then moved in as he drove away. A State Patrol trooper discharged their firearm during the course of this incident. Life-saving measures were immediately provided by the troopers until emergency services arrived. 3 State Patrol troopers were placed on administrative leave, which is normal and part of State Patrol policy. We're going to start by showing a still image of the vehicle that went by the trooper. Just so you can see, I think it's important to show this was the first image that, a still image from the video that depicts what the trooper saw as the vehicle went by. As we move into the 4 videos that I'm going to show, I want to preface that to say, I'm not going to talk during the videos. I'm not going to narrate. I think it's my belief that the videos should play on their own and people should develop their own thoughts about the video rather than be perceived or trying to inject some sort of narrative over the top of the videos. So I'll let the videos play. The Commissioner and I can stand for any questions and answer those that we can for a while here. There's 3 body-worn camera videos that you'll see, and then there's 1 squad video that we're prepared to also show today. The first video is the trooper's body-worn camera behind the driver's side of the vehicle that was pulled over. Ask that that plays.
This is like 2 a.m. in the morning, just FYI.
Looks like his taillights are on.
They do seem to be on now.
Those are his brake lights, I think.
Yeah.
Could be. What's that time stamp on the top? I can't see it. There's a light in my way. Your mic's not on there, Dustin. 2 a.m. 2:05. Oh, jeez.
So I'll stop that video there. There are other videos will show a similar sequence in terms of timing all the way to the end, and you'll be able to see as they try to immediately pull the driver out of the vehicle and start to render aid. All these videos, by the way, will be uploaded and available for download later this afternoon. The second video shows the trooper's body-worn camera on the passenger side of the vehicle.
What are you thinking, Dustin? Dustin, I can't hear you. Turn your mic on.
Just the Care 11 guy is zooming in so much, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Also, the actual body cam footage audio is pretty quiet for us, too.
His body can't fall
The
off.
third video
Clearly.
that we'll show is the trooper's body-worn camera who is on the position on the driver's side of the vehicle that was pulled over.
This one will have the best audio.
I assume. That's why I hate that job. Imagine you're standing actually in the lane because he didn't pull over at all.
Is that a lollipop in his hand?
Hold on, is it a warrant? Hold on. Hold on, because y'all think it was the funny shit. Y'all keep it a buck with me, bro. But if y'all think it was the funny shit with me, y'all can tell me right now. Something call my attorney. Hand me my keys. Hand me the keys. Why? Hand me the keys. Why? Just hand me the keys. Can y'all keep it a buck with me, bro? Y'all pull me over my headlights. Okay. Yep. We already passed that. So like I said, you need to step out of the vehicle. Okay, we passed that, so where we at then? Okay. You need to step out of the vehicle. So where are we at though? And I'm gonna explain it all when we step out. But when you say step out of the vehicle, you will explain to me. This is not a lot. And you all so this hey man, you need some support.
Stop that video. The sequence is the same. They pull the individual out and try life-saving efforts.
Am I missing the shot, guys?
Yeah, that's
I
what
didn't
I'm,
see it either.
That's what I'm
It must
waiting
have
for.
been the cop that dropped the thing, right?
Yeah, my thinking is it's the guy on the passenger side.
So in this case, the audio is obviously different because the squad is coming from the squad camera.
I think it's the passenger side, the guy that dropped the camera.
But why don't we hear it?
I don't understand that. Yeah, I was like, did I just blank out when that first
Yeah,
happened?
that's what I was sitting
No,
here waiting.
there was no gunshot. We would have heard that
Yeah,
very clearly.
right. He drives off.
But
Then they get to the scene. He's dead.
But the guy's like, stay with me, right? So that
Yeah,
assumes he's
so-
shot already.
Right.
This isn't looking
Yeah, sometime in between him taking off and that pit maneuver
Does it
to.
look like 3 white?
Yeah, they're all white.
Yeah, troopers. And I think we're fine talking on this part because basically I think what we're going to learn here is how traumatic it was when he pulls out. Maybe we see a flash. That would be what we'd be looking at, the cop on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also hear a gunshot from this audio, although to be pretty quiet.
Once again, I got a background in the military, not a background in law enforcement, certainly not highway cop. So I don't know if this is the technique because this guy's obviously not cooperative. So you open the passenger side and then the other guy gets in to try to stop this guy. That
Mhm.
certainly heightened the situation.
Yeah, if it was a
Here we go,
passenger
here we go.
cop, that's wild.
So he
This guy's
reached
cop-
for his gun there. The guy on the right.
See, now I heard the 2
Heard
shots
it,
right there.
yeah.
It sounded like
There are 3 supposedly, right?
at least heard 2.
Mm.
At least that's what I think I heard.
Wait, you think you heard them just then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there flashes at all?
Well, it was probably disguised by a seat there.
Yeah, because they ran at him for a little while. It had to have happened during that time.
This is actually, if I could just weigh in right off the bat, this is almost exactly what I was fearful of. It's not clear cut, right?
Not at all.
But it's, he caused bodily harm by driving away with that cop in him, right?
Both cops in the car.
Yeah, both. That's right. And so you would assume that's gonna be enough to not charge the cop, and that's and that's
But
what I'm
people are still
concerned
going to
about,
be
right?
upset about it.
You almost hope that it's clear cut this guy was in the wrong, or that the cop literally committed murder. I guess that maybe is bad too, but at least then the prosecution's real easy.
So okay, so he was definitely shot before.
Yeah, clearly, and that's why now that.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world do we not hear it in the getting pulled over?
I don't know if it suppresses the sound because it's so loud, right?
That could be
I can see that
It
happening.
blows the mic.
They make ear protection for shooting, actually mostly hunting, that you can hear like sounds of like squirrels on the ground, but once it's a loud sound, then it mutes that.
So then the question is it proper to shoot the guy as he's starting to drive
Well,
away?
maybe he didn't mean to do it, but when the vehicle comes here, and a cop's probably taught to keep the finger on the trigger,
At that same point, they were
right?
within their
It might have been accidental.
they possibly can.
It might not have been because it was aggressive
Goes
and
without saying, but for really difficult videos to watch, I've seen them a number of times. It doesn't get any easier at all.
Don't zoom in. Oh,
As
why?
someone who cares about other human beings and has the job that I do, it's not easy. Difficult is an understatement. That said, I mentioned I won't be able to answer a ton of questions, particularly those about the investigation, but both the commissioner and I are willing to do what we can for a while here to help answer questions you have in the immediate aftermath of viewing the video.
So I'm trying to understand, is this standard operating procedure for your troopers to ask people who are wanted for warrants to step out of the vehicle? Why can't your troopers just tell them what he was wanted for and allow him to remain in the vehicle as he was asking for?
fair
Yeah,
question.
There's different ways to look at that issue, but when I witness or observe the conduct of the troopers and the conversation they're having, I wouldn't say it's out of the ordinary for their interactions with people. They simply asked him to get out of the car, and they had lawful reason to do so.
Why couldn't your troopers just to tell him what the reason was for and allow him to remain in the vehicle?
Yeah, no, it's a question that certainly will come out as part of the investigation. I haven't visited with the troopers about what they were
In
doing
hindsight, probably
or
the
why they did what they
cop's
did.
kicking himself for not doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
With WCCO, it was hard to tell where the shot came from. Can you tell us which camera or which trooper fired the shots?
Yeah, I want to be careful not to get into the investigative side, but the video of the trooper who fired rounds is the one who was at the passenger side.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
Channel 5, how many times was he shot?
I don't have that confirmed, sorry.
Oh, so it might not be 3.
Another question for the BCA as part of their
We apparently have we've
Just a
been
reminder, as I've mentioned a couple of different times, there's an independent investigation going on. A lot of the questions that you guys have.
Of course, I always say this stuff.
If we continue to get into
we've heard he's been hit multiple times. That's what we heard, right?
Disrespect or anything. I used to be a reporter.
Where was that
and I understand
confirmed?
the need for these questions to be
What?
asked, but
That
there are questions
he
that
was
will be
hit
answered
multiple
in the
times,
investigation.
Well,
multiple
I thought-
gunshot wounds,
I
right?
thought there were 3 in the abdomen.
That's what I read.
Okay.
Or commissioner saying we can't answer that.
But that could be not true, and so maybe it's good that they don't answer that question.
The reason that they wanted to take him out was because of this domestic abuse violation. But was it a warrant, or can you just kind of clarify what this was exactly?
Yeah, so, and I should have repeated the question for those that are online, I'm sorry. So the question is about was this a warrant or not? It was not a warrant. It was a pickup and hold for a felony order for protection violation that originated from the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office.
And so just a follow-up on that, is that something that would appear like on the computers, or can tell us that from the trooper's point of view?
The question relates to how does the trooper become aware of that information? It absolutely does come back. So in the event that a driver who's the registered owner has that pickup and hold, when the trooper runs their license plate, part of the information that comes back would include that information. Similar to a warrant, but unique because it's different than a warrant, is the need to confirm that pickup and hold with the originating agency. And so that was part of what the troopers were doing that took some time with the traffic stop before we showed the deadly force encounter here. But that's exactly what they did, is confirm that this is still an active pickup and hold, that the agency who desires this individual be brought into custody still believes they have probable cause, and that it is the correct person.
That's the reference to Ramsey County that they made?
The question is that the reference to Ramsey County? Yes, that's where this pickup and hold originated from. was the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office. So their confirmation would go back to that originating agency.
Matt Sepik again with NPR News. Sorry, I didn't identify myself before. Why don't we hear the gunshots on the body camera, but we do hear them on the squad camera?
The question is a very good one. Why don't we hear the gunshots on the body-worn camera? I don't have an answer for you on that. We are equally perplexed. I suspect, and I'm speculating, that technicians or the technical engineers at Axon would be better to answer that question. We live in a world where we watch a video and we see it and we hear it and then we think, yep, that's what happened. And for me in this case, it just gives me pause to say, why don't we hear the gunshots on the body-worn camera, but yet we hear them very clearly on the squad video. So part of the BCA's investigation
clearly,
will
but
surely, based on evidence and all the work that they do, try to line up everything down to a fraction of a second. But one of the body-worn cameras in particular, oddly, it doesn't record the gunshots, even though it's recording all of the other ambient noise. One of the other body-worn cameras captures what I would categorize as a subdued gunshot, and then the squad video with the window down clearly captures gunshots. So that was something that we were initially perplexed by, and we still are.
And that's pretty weird to me.
Obviously, the BCA is investigating this, but it's under the Department of Public Safety. How can the public trust that this is going to be a transparent investigation? Would you consider having an outside agency look at it?
Yeah, I'll let the commissioner answer that, and I'm happy to also answer.
Again, just to repeat the question, I think in essence is that the BCA is part of a state agency, part of the Department of Public Safety. The Minnesota State Patrol is also part of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. How would an investigative process work between those two agencies, and does that create public trust? I will let you know that obviously the Minnesota State Patrol and the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension are separate law enforcement agencies. They act independently, they do independent work. They both have their chief law enforcement officers, Colonel Matthew Langer, who is here today, and Superintendent Drew Evans, who is with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. So they both have their law enforcement agencies and their duties. Anytime that there is an officer-involved shooting in the state of Minnesota, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension typically is asked to perform those investigations. We have a specific unit within the Bureau of Criminal Apprehensions, the Force Investigation Unit, which has been supported and funded through direct legislative priorities to go ahead and to be the go-to agency for law enforcement, officer-involved shootings or use of force shootings or in-custody deaths. That has worked very well for a number of years. In fact, it was just recently funded in the legislature to continue with that Force Investigation Unit. Through the creation of that process, this scenario was contemplated, and through that work, this is just the way that was contemplated that it would occur, that the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the Force Investigative Unit, which does not train with or have regular contact with any other law enforcement agencies, including the State Patrol, would conduct those investigations. It will be separate and independent from the Minnesota State Patrol. And as mentioned today, my time spent with Colonel Langer is really specific to spending time with the family and walking through the video with you. When I spend time with Superintendent Evans, that will be updates with the investigative process. But they are an independent process, independent agency, and I don't provide direction and control. They do their investigation, get the final product, and then when that final product is completed, there's full transparency. It's available to the public. It will go to the county attorney's office. In this case, it would be Mary Moriarty of the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. So again, we think that process worked and does work, and we've done that several times.
Tomorrow, the Star Tribune, Matt, this is a question for you. We had a shot fired into the vehicle. Can you just talk a little bit about what is the procedure or protocol? Did this rise to a use of force level based on the standards of the patrol?
Yeah, the question is how it relates to the use of force level for the State Patrol. For sure, so we have very clear policies all available on our website. This very clearly meets the threshold of the use of deadly force. And so that triggers protocols within the organization, including a critical incident review downstream, where we take a look at this incident from beginning to end to uncover any answers that we might want to come forward with related to training, related to equipment, related to supervisory notification, related to protocol. Our goal is for these things to never happen. And so when they do happen, we shift really quickly into why did it happen, and is there absolutely anything we can do in the future to make sure it doesn't happen again? So that critical incident review process is part of the puzzle of trying to determine that, and that augments the incredibly anticipated investigation from the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension too, that once things are done also helps us to make decisions internally about what, if anything, should change.
We'll take one more.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood that statement. When you said meets the threshold of use of deadly force, what did you mean by that?
Well, the question is what I meant by the answer to the meet the threshold of the use of deadly force, but firing a service weapon in the direction of another human being is very clearly the use of deadly force. So for us, that would trigger that standard within our policy and protocol. I apologize if I didn't answer the question that you were asking, but that's how I interpreted it.
Can you say at what point that threshold was met? At what point the threshold was met that we saw in the video?
Yeah, that is way too deep into the investigation and what the individual troopers were thinking, and I simply don't know what they were thinking.
Thanks, guys. How is DPS training your officers to de-escalate situations like this?
That's crazy.
Stick around, answers questions. I can't stand that.
Sure. Re-roll at least the squad video, because we didn't get any audio feed. I know you're going to be releasing the
Let me see how long it will take.
Wait, can you grab it from Hallbox?
So what I will do is, let me see how long it will take us to get you that file. If that's more expedient than doing this.
Was I mishearing that at the end? I thought he was answering that question and saying that the threat posed to the troopers was amounted to them justifying them using deadly force.
Yeah.
But
He
then
said
it
it
sounded like
met
he
the
didn't say
threshold.
that.
No, I think he was saying he wouldn't point out when specifically that moment was.
So it was really the details of that?
Right. He was saying that, well, I don't want to get inside the officers' heads for why they felt it met that threshold. That was what I took.
You don't want to
said.
accidentally incriminate either yourself, the organization, or the officers involved.
But this is
Everyone's
the
aware
thing
of this.
that matters a lot to the public, knowing it. I'm just on their website, DPS, Minnesota State Patrol. I don't think Minnesota State Patrol has their own website. Obviously, I don't think I've ever looked this up before. Minnesota State Patrol, just Googling it, looks like it just goes to Minnesota Department of Public Safety. And I'm just wondering if there's anything on here that would give the use of force.
Yeah, what the definition is.
Yeah. You know, like
I mean, I imagine it's fear of your own life or fear of another person's life.
Correct.
Right. I imagine the definition is somewhere broadly about that.
Well, there is. This is referencing state statute here. Okay, this might be it.
I don't know. This is an interesting one.
This is an interesting one. That's actually the problem. Is I was a little fearful it wouldn't be so clear cut.
Right.
Now, obviously, okay. So first of all, murder. That's what BLM's calling it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not murder.
Well, this is enough. It's in enough of a gray area where they're probably going to run with murder regardless.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
this guy was is resisting arrest. Is arrest the right term?
Resisting detainment.
Detainment for a lawful purpose.
So it sounds like it's pretty much a warrant, except what would they call it? A hold and
yeah, they had a name
something
for
like
it.
that.
Mm-hmm. And then, okay, here we go. So I think I might have a document. Let's see, use of force and deadly force model. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna send this to you, Dawson. If it's in a Word document.
I won't be able to open that.
You'll
up
be able to open that.
this.
Okay. Definitions: great bodily harm. Okay, let's see. Let me see. Duty report, de-escalation, use of other.
Man, I don't know what to think on this one.
Except in cases where deadly force is authorized as articulated in Minnesota Statute 609.066 to protect the peace officer or another from death or great bodily harm, officers are prohibited from using chokeholds, tying all a person's limbs together, securing a person in any way. Oh, here we go. Use the deadly force. An officer is authorized to use deadly force if an objectively reasonable officer would believe, based on the totality of the circumstances known to the officer at the time, and without the benefit of hindsight, that such force is necessary. Use of deadly force is is justified when one or both of the following apply. Either 1, to protect the peace officer or another from death or great bodily harm, provided that the threat can be articulated with specificity by a law enforcement officer, it is reasonably likely to occur absent action by a law enforcement officer and must be addressed through the use of deadly force without unreasonable delay. Or 2, to effect the arrest or capture or prevent the escape of a person whom the peace officer knows or has reasonable grounds to believe has committed or attempted to commit a felony, and the officer reasonably believes that the person will cause death or great bodily harm to another person. So that's not the case. Well, I guess that could be the case too, because he
say driving erratically.
Yeah,
Yep.
we just watched in Minneapolis, John Thompson's son kill 5 women in a vehicle by reckless driving.
Whatever happened with that story?
No, he's being prosecuted, I'm sure.
Why not? Why wouldn't this guy have been able to use his taser in this situation?
Well, because you don't generally have a taser out in that situation, middle of the night, and don't know how hostile this guy is. So that's probably part of the reason. He's got to draw a weapon, and so in this case, probably wants
but
to
there's
draw a
no
lethal
evidence that this Ricky Cobb had a weapon or a gun.
No evidence. Of course, wouldn't matter in the end. Now that would be a big difference, right? If he actually had a weapon on him, like a knife or a gun, but
give the cops more reason to fear for their lives.
Right, but he's definitely, cops are coming in his vehicle and he's dragging these cops, right? And so that would be great bodily harm, right?
Right.
You run over somebody, you
Potential to be ran
drag them,
over.
yeah. So, I want to say this is certainly
It's a tough one because that already happened. They got dragged and then they shot at him, right?
Well, he doesn't know.
So their lives weren't in danger.
He doesn't know
at
what's
that
happening
moment.
to the
No,
guy on the other
the
side.
gunshots are happening as he's pulling away.
Right.
Which to me also could have been accidental by the cop, or an instinct with the judgment at the time. This guy's pulling away. Maybe he's got the other cop, and that cop's gonna be drugged. Right.
Well, it looked like
wait a
he's
second.
pulling out his gun.
Kim Potter was the same situation.
So tell me where you think it was right there that he started shooting.
It would have been
right
once
here.
he
See, he's
opened
coming
the
in.
door.
It's happening right now.
He almost, if he is shot there, he would have almost shot his cop buddy.
I'm sorry, I was a little ahead. Yeah. So
there?
You see, no. It was right when the guy
happened.
was pulling away. Well, it's easier if you see the video from the
want the
dash
passenger?
cam. That's the easier one. Is this the whole montage of the video?
This is just the live
Oh, okay.
stream.
This will give it away too. So seems like it's
Gun up,
happening
he
right about now.
shot
Yeah, right
right
about
then.
there.
That's crazy. So
That
he had
is
the
crazy.
gunshot at his face. Of course I would pull away too. If I saw a
He was
gun.
And
already
then look,
driving
and then
away.
he's hitting the ground. Yeah, that seems like it happened right there.
Yeah, so he planted 2 or however many
Wow.
shots in him before he was able to peel away.
No, he was already peeling away when he started shooting.
I believe the shots are happening as he's
Oh,
right
well,
there.
it
So we
was-
think
yeah,
there
it
were
was right
3
there.
shots right there.
Imagine your firearm is in front of that seat. He
Yeah, look.
pulls away.
He's shifting the
Yeah.
car into drive.
Yeah, so think what, and yeah, he's also maybe watching. Well, they're trained to watch hands.
Yeah.
So that would have been one shot, that jolt. That would have been
Right
the second
there.
one.
That's when I would assume
Yeah.
it's.
He's pointing
being
that gun straight at the other cop.
Very dangerous. Obviously,
That's
probably
wild.
shooting lower though. Yeah, very dangerous.
Yeah, it was in his abdomen where he got shot.
That's
I think
nuts.
here, obviously, this is the wrong shooting. Right? Should not have shot. But once again, we go back to we're not in these predicaments. This guy is clearly resisting arrest.
Yeah, no, I'm not judging the cop too hard, but what I would think is they probably could have, like they did, they could have pinned the car against the concrete like they had at the end there without all of this. But yeah,
Well, then they would have
it's
had
a-
to. It would have been a chase,
right,
which is
Instead-
also very dangerous.
Instead, he was dying, and he dragged the car over because he was
yeah,
dying.
which is also dangerous. But like, yeah, it's tough. We
If-
might have to wait till the trial.
If he well, so once again, now remember, we all sit here and we diagnose, and of course this can happen in trial. We're going to diagnose what this gentleman had to make in a half a second, a decision in half a second.
Yeah.
Okay? Because until he's shot, everyone believes he's got a right to have his firearm drawn and pointed at the gentleman, right? And within a half a second, the Cobb is taking off. He's probably physically been hit by the seat, maybe. possibly at that point. Certainly, probably watching this stuff going down because that's what we're assuming.
Yeah, and it's tough to make out what that Ricky Cobb was saying during that time. It sounded almost like he was saying something like, "You guys always tell me to step outside, and then I end up going to jail or I end up getting arrested or something."
Yeah, he was mostly saying stuff about why should I get out of the car? Like, is there a warrant? Why am I getting out of the car? Why do I need to get out of the car?
Yeah, he was questioning it and then, drove away.
Definitely never said anything inciting violence, never saying, like, I'm going to fucking kill you or blah, blah, blah.
Well, that doesn't matter. When you drive away with these guys in there, obviously you're committing violence against police officers.
Now, the question is, did he shift the car into drive before they started grabbing him, or was that after?
Well, let's see.
No, it looks like that first cop is grabbing him right there, and he's shifting.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
So when did he reach over to grab it? So
his hand is currently...
Gun was drawn right here. Probably...
And I think that's when the cop pulled out his gun, right?
It probably would have been as soon, if I had to guess, as soon as... Okay, so you see his hand there. It's all fine. This guy open. Okay, so it's the second that this cop opens the door, he reached for the shift.
Yeah, and this is what I'm wondering is it seems like this was aggressive. So is this what they teach? And if this is what they teach, there's probably a reason for it. Here's the deal. In the hierarchy of kind of cops I'd be, I gotta imagine State Patrol's the last of that. That's a sucky job.
I've heard it's easier to become State Patrol compared to other.
Yeah, because no one would want to do it. Would you want to stand right there where this other cop is in the lane?
Yeah.
Cobb doesn't even pull his vehicle over, so this cop is literally having to stand in a lane with vehicles going 60, 70 miles an hour. That sucks right alone. You don't know what you're going to encounter on the highway in the middle of the night. That sucks.
When all you're doing is writing tickets and getting people pissed off.
Until
with this being the rare exception.
In Minneapolis, I'm guessing you do a lot more than the tickets, right?
Yeah, maybe.
But not a fun
regardless,
job.
it sucks.
I don't think that
for sure.
I don't really think that how bad your job sucks matters when it comes to. That's why.
No, but what we're saying is, who would want to do this?
For him to kill
who would want to do this? And so there might be a rationale because
So
of that aggressive posture, opening that door.
Either that, or they're not used to something like this too.
And if that's the problem, then that just comes back to the training. If you don't have, if you don't know what to do in this situation, you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too early to be making real judgments.
Yeah, I thought the video would settle things for us. It kind of makes it like, wow, this is interesting. We got to keep digging. So
it's the worst because now everyone's going to come to their own conclusion. 3 white cops. That's what we were fearful of. Black guy. That's obviously the dynamic that's going to play out politically. And then Walls and those types are going to weigh into this thing, and the Maxine Waters of the world will make their statements, and they're just going to heighten up this division in their country. And idiots are going to start protesting, and idiots are going to shut down the interstate, probably in that same spot, start a memorial in the middle of the Interstate 94, right? They did that when there wasn't a tragedy on that highway.
Yeah,
now
shutting down roads is the dumbest form of protesting.
But let's just be honest, what's probably going to happen here? So that's the worst. And then, I mean, I feel like there's a good chance the cop gets off on this one because you could make the argument there's great bodily harm to him.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly to the other cop, too.
I think the fact that he was unarmed is going to be a really big player in all this. It's like, you shot the unarmed guy. What's going on?
Good point. If he was unarmed, that's true.
But, I mean, based on the conversation we heard, it didn't sound like he asked if there's a firearm. Now, we didn't get the entirety of the conversation, but...
the whole thing could have been solved if he said, turn off your vehicle.
Turn off... We asked, hand me the keys. He also asked for an ID, which he refused both, it sounded like.
Why would you ask, hand me the keys, instead of turn off your vehicle? That one was weird to me.
Well, because it's the same reason an oil change.
Put it back in, too, probably.
Yeah. Kim Potter, now that I think about it, wasn't that the same circumstance? She was going to tase him, obviously accidentally drew her Glock, but shot him because he was starting to pull away in the vehicle. But she got prosecuted for that.
Was that the same thing? I didn't know
I'm trying
he
to think
was
it's the same
away.
thing because he was pulling away, right?
I don't think he was. I think that was the damning part about it. Like, he wasn't doing anything.
No, he was. He was definitely doing it. That's why she went to that aggressive posture.
Well, right. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There were people calling for Jensen to commute her sentence if he was elected. I remember that.
She's out of prison right now, by the way.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
On parole?
There's people that are saying, like, you can't know what this is like during the split-second decision. Like, because you've never been in this situation, you can't talk about it. I don't think that that's necessarily true, that you can't talk about it.
You should be able to talk about it, yeah.
Because people, this is what they're training for. If they weren't trained for a situation like this, they should be able. Isn't the point of the cops to follow it by the books? Like, we have laws that.
But they're humans in the end of the day.
But isn't that what training gets rid of? Is that human factor? Shouldn't it?
No, I mean, we are humans in the end of the day. Yeah, you'd love to think it, but we're not robots. So
the racism
you can't.
might
You're not.
come
It's
in,
training. It's not programming, right? So in the end of the day, there's a human aspect to it, and the dynamics are so unique, right? So, and there's other things, other externalities that could come into play here. You know, other posture that this guy gave him. You know, in the case of Chauvin and George Floyd, they actually had a history.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that's the case here, but you know that could come into play. You know, a known history of the guy. So, yeah, I mean, I think you look at this and you would say that this cop made a severe judgment and probably shouldn't be a cop anymore, right? At the very minimum, is that what you would conclude, Dawson?
Say it one more time.
Would you at least conclude that the cop made a fatal error and shouldn't be a cop anymore? Because in his judgment in that time frame, he screwed up?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, it's too... Well, okay,
well,
go around,
I mean, I could give
Just
you
going
that,
off of what
but
I have
when
right
you
now.
start saying it's murder, then it's like, well, this was planned. This wasn't murder, right?
No, I don't think-
Unless
think
you
it
can
was
prove that he knew this guy he was a racist, and when that's what BLM's gonna say, and he just wanted to kill a black guy, right? But that's a far stretch, and probably not one bit true, right?
Right.
So it's somewhere possibly in the middle there, and I think it's, probably I mean, that's what Kim Potter was. It was an error,
right?
It was an error that cost someone their life.
I just watching this stuff, personal opinion, literally just going off of what I have right now and assuming the best of the cop. I don't think that there is any murder intent or anything like that.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was an error of some sort when it comes to training or like he
Just a bad decision, maybe.
could have been a bad decision, a decision that ended up killing a person, which is kind of the worst.
Yeah, I wouldn't say maybe he should. I'm not saying he should have to lose his job or anything like that, but yeah, no, I think the situation could have been handled better.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But him driving recklessly down the freeway endangers the life of other people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tough to say if
What are
there's
the
a right
statistics
answer
on that?
Yeah.
Because where does this end up? How long did they chase the guy? We don't know because he was shot and then his car went into the side rails. But that's it. You make your judgment on this one. We're going to be talking about this for a while.
That's for sure. Especially if BLM escalates.
Feels like that's going to be the case.
Brad says it's way too soon to make a judgment on the situation. We haven't learned to get all the facts.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, and I figured why not just keep the cameras rolling? You can at least see how we process it, and you guys are processing at home. Problem is, you have the sides. As Jesse, I think you were bringing this up. You got the two sides. Well, cops can do no wrong. Well, clearly they can. And then you got the other side that cops do nothing but wrong, and they're out to murder every black person. And that side has a big microphone right now. It's amplified by the leftists. And where it really hurts us is, 2020, rioting in the streets, chaos. So, I pray. I hope that doesn't come to Minnesota. Don't know what to think right now. So we'll stay on top of the story. But thank you guys for tuning in this Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday. Unless there's other stuff, we're always ready to do extra shows too. So we'll break any news that comes. check out Action for Liberty. All the other stories too. What a day. We had so many stories to talk about. We had to talk about this one. So there you go. Stay tuned. actionforliberty.com. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on Thursday.